Chapter 579. The Black Dragon Great Sage's Crystal Dragon Palace is actually a minor chiliocosm. However, it is far inferior to the world-burying coffin, the Dharma realms, and even the martial sage's paradise. Furthermore, this minor chiliocosm is withering. Although it is absorbing the soul, returning chi from the earth vein, it cannot be maintained because the Black Dragon Great Sage has fallen. There is no one to manage it. Guchen Shah had already noticed many things. If a minor chiliocosm was not managed by a deity, it would wither very quickly. It was like a plucked flower. The speed at which it withered was visible to the naked eye. The minor chiliocosm was slightly better. The Black Dragon Great Sage had made all sorts of arrangements, but he still could not avoid his eventual decline. Unless he was a human, established a clan, or had faith. Then, he might be resurrected by having the people of his clan perform sacrifices. Take the Dharma Saint, for example. The clan had been working hard for many years. The arrangements of the 13 deities finally allowed the Dharma Saint to resurrect when the world changed and the heavenly Tao became chaotic. Guchen Shah observed for a while and felt that although the Black Dragon Great Sage had made arrangements, his arrangements could not compare to the Dharma Saint or the martial sage. Humans were indeed the wisest of all creatures. Even the demonic sage's insight into worldly affairs could not compare to the human sages. Now that the martial emperor had lost his minor world and the primeval dragon sex talisman, he wanted the Crystal Dragon Palace to make up for his losses. Of course, in Guchen's opinion, the primeval dragon sect talisman was even more valuable than the Crystal Dragon Palace. After all, with this talisman, the immortal tranquility department could transform the attacks of the demonic calamities and remain invincible. As for the Crystal Dragon Palace, it would be destroyed in an instant. It looks like the martial emperor has not truly discovered the secrets of the Crystal Dragon Palace. He also did not obtain any of the treasures in the palace. This palace has many restrictive spells and layers of traps. Even if I use the sphere to devour the treasures, I will not be able to do it in 1 or 2 days. Guchen Shah started to observe the deepest parts of the Crystal Dragon Palace. Although he was anxious to capture the martial emperor, he was also afraid that something would happen to the Crystal Dragon Palace, causing him to fail. It would be best to capture the martial emperor when he wanted to obtain the Crystal Dragon Palace. Sure enough, while Guchen Shah was lurking, the martial emperor seemed to know some of the secrets of the Crystal Dragon Palace. Thus, he kept roaming around and observing the surroundings. It seemed like he was trying to break some kind of formation. Open. All of a sudden, the martial emperor seemed to have found the key to breaking the array. He suddenly circulated a tyrannical world energy and began to tear apart the array inside the Crystal Dragon Palace. Rumble. Immediately, the Crystal Palace began their counterattack. Layers of waves swept over, wanting to seal and kill the martial emperor. Emperor Wu laughed coldly. Black Dragon Saint, when you were alive, you weren't as powerful as I was at my peak. Although I haven't fully recovered, you're dead. Do you really think you can stop my invasion with your puny tricks? I have already comprehended the divergent, and my usage of magic power has far surpassed that of before. Quickly let go of the Crystal Dragon Palace and let me in. Otherwise, as time passes, your Crystal Dragon Palace will wither and eventually disappear. After I enter it, I might be able to help you recover. Layers of light and strands of divine light collided. Guchen Shah secretly circulated the power of the Desolate Era's Dragon Gate Talisman. He absorbed and disintegrated the remnant waves and channeled them into the shattering 10,000 Elephants Cudgel. The shattering 10,000 Elephants Cudgel needed the replenishment of world energy to repair some of the damage. When the Titan God died, the cudgel suffered great damage. Dragon Slaying. The martial emperor suddenly used his trump card. His body turned into a dragon-slaying saber and slashed down violently. Immediately, the array inside the Crystal Dragon Palace was torn apart. Many magnificent palaces and huge crystal pillars appeared. Each of these crystal pillars was dozens of meters thick and thousands of meters tall. They supported the transformation of the Crystal Dragon Palace. The Crystal Dragon Palace was made entirely of transparent crystal. However, Gu Qinsha knew that the Black Dragon Great Sage had used the power of the world and all sorts of precious materials to transform it into a dragon crystal. Who knew how many years it had taken him to finally refine such a minor chiliocosm palace? The Martial Emperor's methods are really powerful. He hid himself really well. He actually escaped that day. If he didn't escape, he might still have a chance to fight, as expected of someone who was once an emperor. Luckily, I have dealt with him many times and lied to him many times. I have long since figured out his background. Gu Qinsha followed the Martial Emperor into the Crystal Dragon Palace. Kacha kacha. The moment the Martial Emperor entered, a storm surged around him. He was trapped in the depths of the formation. As the spell formation transformed, images of the primeval wastelands appeared, including countless enormous mountain ranges, primeval godly beasts, and an ancient primeval aura. Tao Realm 35 changes, desolate dust. The martial sovereign roared. What a great transformation! I didn't think that you, the Black Dragon Great Sage, would still leave behind so many formations even though you're dead. Unfortunately, I've already become an anomaly. The magical power of the 35 transformations may be strong, but it can't trap me. The Tao Realm 35 changes was called Desolate Dust. Legend had it that with the flick of a finger, one could turn a land of dust into a desolate universe. It was just a thin line away from embodiment transformation. The Martial Emperor charged in and instantly saw a desolate world. It gave birth to many things and trapped him within. He knew that this was the same as facing the attack of a 35 changes expert. He immediately used the changes in his body. He shrunk into a ball and then exploded. Instantly, a destructive wave ripped apart this desolate world. The scenes in front of him returned to normal, and he was still in the Crystal Dragon Palace. If it's a living primordial chaos expert of the 35 changes of the minute, I would definitely not be a match for him. However, it's just a strand of his power. Do you think you can trap me? Although that was what the Martial Emperor said, he still took a few steps back. That was because he saw dense dust floating in front of him. Each speck of dust actually had the power of a desolate dust. Just now, he had faced a speck of dust and was pulled into the desolate world. Although he had used a strong technique to rip it out, he had used up a lot of his strength. There was so much dust in front of him. If he ripped them one by one, he would probably die of exhaustion. He had to avoid the dust. This Crystal Dragon Palace isn't easy to deal with. Monster Saint does have some skills. We can merge with the World-Buried Coffin because the coffin itself can be summoned. Jiangong Wang was given to Zhuge, so as long as he is summoned, he will merge with it. If other people try to snatch the World-Buried Coffin, they will probably be shocked to death. They will be sucked in and become nourishment for the World-Buried Coffin. Gu Qinsha knew that the strength of the World-Buried Coffin was far above that of the Crystal Dragon Palace. The Martial Emperor had used up a lot of his strength. He was ready to find an opportunity to capture the Martial Emperor. The Martial Emperor didn't notice that Gu Qinsha was following him. At this moment, Gu Qinsha wasn't someone he could detect. Every time Gu Qinsha increased his cultivation level, the heavenly law technique profoundness would increase. Even if he didn't swallow the desolate Dragon Gates talisman, the Martial Emperor wouldn't be able to detect him. Myriad world, ethereal green smoke. All of a sudden, the Martial Emperor's body kept changing. He turned into a green smoke and floated in the air. It was unknown what kind of power he used, but the dust particles were all pushed away. Surprisingly, they weren't triggered. At this moment, the Martial Emperor passed through layers of obstacles and reached the deepest part of the Crystal Dragon Palace. He landed in a huge hall. There was a throne in the depths of the hall. The throne was dark gold in color. An old man sat on the throne. This old man was also wearing dark gold clothes. He was full of domineering aura, but he didn't have any aura. The Black Dragon Great Sage's remains. The green smoke that the Martial Emperor had turned into gathered again and turned into a human. However, his face was pale and his footsteps were weak. He had used up too much power. This myriad world, ethereal green smoke, can indeed pass through any forbidden art. It has the supreme transformation of yin and yang. The martial emperor looked at the black dragon, great sage's remains. He was in no hurry to do anything. Instead, he wanted to recover his strength. I learned this technique from a great existence trapped in the primordial dragon gate. That existence wanted me to save him and taught me this technique. But how could I save such a terrifying existence? The martial emperor didn't seem to use this technique very often. Even after using it, he still felt lingering fear. This technique, Gu Qinsha found that this technique was incredible. It even surpassed many of the three heavenly sovereigns' ultimate techniques. It had a bit of the Xing Qiong clan's divine prefecture great techniques 100th level. Could there be an existence as powerful as the Xing Qiong clan in this world? Gu Qinsha frowned. But let's not worry about that for now. The martial emperor has used up too much power to use this technique. It's a great opportunity to suppress him. After waiting for so long, Gu Qinsha finally grasped the opportunity. He moved fiercely. World energy surged out of his body and gathered into tentacles. With a flash, the tentacles sealed off the martial emperor's surroundings tightly. Then, the rainbow-colored tentacles firmly tied the martial emperor up. Many of the tentacles took root in the martial emperor's body and started to absorb his essence qi. Who? The martial emperor roared. He had never thought that he would be ambushed here. It's me, Wudong Xing. At this moment, Gu Qinsha walked out. He was still deceiving the martial emperor. He had transformed into Wudong Xing's body and had a treacherous smile on his face. Martial emperor, it's better if you surrender obediently and give everything to Lady Wudong Kong. Maybe you can keep your memories and live as an ordinary person. Wudong Xing, how dare you do this to me? The martial emperor used his transformation technique again and again. Unfortunately, it was useless. Gu Qinsha's rainbow-colored tentacles were a derivative of the wish tree. No, you're not Wudong Xing. I was tricked by you. You are Gu Qinsha. The one who attacked me was not Wu Dankong, but the tranquil immortal department. You took away my primeval dragon gates talisman. Wu Dankong does not have this ability. Only you, who cultivated the heavenly Tao technique, have this ability to trick me. I hate you. Chapter 580. Hate, I hate. Emperor Wu let out a monstrous amount of hatred. He hated the world, hated the Department of Tranquility, hated Gu Qinsha. Back then, Gu Qinsha had fought Do 19 with him and cultivated the heavenly law technique. Emperor Wu now understood everything. Gu Qinsha knew that Emperor Wu truly felt that he was going to die, so he had comprehended the truth on his own. This was not a breakthrough, but a final burst of consciousness before death. He had not seen through the secret of the heavenly law technique, but a flash of inspiration. He felt that all his previous doubts had been answered. However, Gu Qinsha would not let Emperor Wu go because of this. Emperor Wu's cultivation was extremely terrifying now. He had reached the 31st transformation of the Tao realm, void creation. Once he reached this realm, he would quickly enter the 32nd transformation, one thought connecting the heavens. Then he would reach the 33rd transformation, the truth's sacred heart, and become a sage. Sages use their hearts to comprehend their own truths. Once the truths condensed into a sacred heart, they would become a true sage. They would be stronger than gods and higher than god-level experts. If Emperor Wu became a sage, it would be extremely difficult to capture him. Now is the best time to take his life. For the sake of the world, for the great cause, for the great plan of exterminating demons, Gu Qinsha could not let Emperor Wu go. In the depths of the Crystal Dragon Palace, Gu Qinsha used the power of the minor Kiliacosm and the Hope Tree to wrap around Emperor Wu, wanting to completely suppress him. If Emperor Wu escaped, he would definitely be someone who would bring disaster to the world. He would not forget to rebel and unify the world. Why is it like this? How can the Department of Tranquility's power enter the minor Kiliacosm of the Crystal Dragon Palace? Emperor Wu roared again, his body turning into green smoke. World ethereal turning green smoke. Martial Emperor, I admit that this move of yours is quite powerful. Unfortunately, our calming immortal department already has everything in our hands. We have obtained the world-burying coffin and successfully survived the devil calamity. We still have to rely on your desolate Ian Dragon Gate talisman. In order to shatter the Martial Emperor's confidence, Gu Qinsha once again sent out spiritual force fluctuations. Actually, in the depths of the Crystal Dragon Palace, there were many layers of barriers. The energy of the minor Kiliacosm would consume a lot of energy to transmit. If they were at the bottom of the sea, he would be able to take the Martial Emperor away with a single move. Now, it was equivalent to suppressing the Crystal Dragon Palace, a small Kiliacosm. If it were to be transmitted again, it would naturally be damaged. With the current power of the Sphere of People's Wish, suppressing the Crystal Dragon Palace was not a problem. They were both minor Kiliacosms, but the difference between the two was enormous. In the eyes of the Martial Emperor, this was unimaginable. In his impression, the Life's Wish sphere had never reached such a level. Gu Qinsha, I've underestimated you. I didn't expect that you could actually play me in the palm of your hand. Suddenly, there was another explosion in the Martial Emperor's body. It actually resonated with the Crystal Dragon Palace. At this moment, a token appeared above the Martial Emperor's head. This token was filled with demonic aura. It was unknown which demon Taoist ancestor made it. 10,000 demon token. Go! As the command medallion exploded, it transformed into black smoke that flew toward the throne and entered Black Dragon Great Sage's body. The Black Dragon Great Sage suddenly opened his eyes as if he had come back to life. Then his eyes pierced through the sky, and he saw everything that was happening in his palace. Then, a loud and clear voice burst out from his mouth. Who obtained the 10,000 demon token and used its power to awaken me? Black Dragon Great Sage, I order you to kill this person. The Martial Emperor's voice burst out. Once the 10,000 demon token is released, all demons will obey it. Even the North Star tribe is no exception. Although the North Star tribe is known as the primogenitor of the demon race, it is actually just the pet of the owner of the 10,000 demon token. How dare you disobey the 10,000 demon token? Although the Black Dragon Great Sage was dead, he had left behind many arrangements. The power of the 10,000 demon token could almost make him appear temporarily. It was just like how a sage family would hold a great sacrifice and gather the power of the sacrifice to make the sage appear. The power of the sacrifice to the ancestors was a kind of remembrance, and motivation. It was different from the power of faith. The Black Dragon Great Sage was dead. The power of the 10,000 demon token made him appear, but only for a short while. When he opened his eyes, he immediately knew what had happened. The existence with the 10,000 demon token. Although you made me appear, the power of the Crystal Dragon Palace is constantly dissipating. If I continue to waste my power to help you, this Dragon Palace will wither even faster. When that happens, I will truly be doomed for eternity. Furthermore, the existence that is suppressing and sealing you is too powerful. My Crystal Dragon Palace can't do anything about it. You two can go out and fight. Rumble. The Crystal Dragon Palace surged with a force that pushed Gu Qinsha and the Martial Emperor out. Then, the Crystal Dragon Palace stopped absorbing the earth veins and broke through the void, disappearing into the endless space-time turbulence. The Black Dragon Great Sage was rumored to be very cruel. Whoever offended him would have their entire family wiped out. He wouldn't even let his friends off, let alone intruding into his crystal palace. According to his character, he would definitely bury Gu Qinsha and the Martial Emperor. Unfortunately, when he saw that Gu Qinsha's strength was too ferocious, he was also afraid. He immediately took the opportunity to escape. Being able to scare the Black Dragon Great Sage away, it showed how powerful the sphere's power was after devouring the world-burying coffin. The Martial Emperor was dumbfounded. He had never expected that the awakened black dragon great sage would escape. In the depths of the space-time turbulence, the crystal dragon palace jumped violently. The black dragon great sage appeared with a profound expression on his face. The demon disaster has broken out, and the 10,000 demon token has appeared. It seems that the heavenly Tao has changed. Maybe I have a chance to resurrect again. I have to hurry up and make arrangements to let the demon race worship me. My worship has been cut off a long time ago. If I didn't have this opportunity, I'm afraid that I would have truly fallen into depravity. However, the power of the 10,000 demon token can only support me for a few hours. In these few hours, I have to set up something. After reaching the sage level, as long as there was a family's worship, it would be able to appear. The greater the power of the worship, the longer it would take for the spirit to appear. If one didn't become a sage, then death was the same as death. Even God-rank experts couldn't manifest their spirits. God-rank experts could only accept faith to nourish their dust world while they were alive. But sage experts could accept faith to manifest their spirits after they died. This was the difference between sage and sage. Only when a family produced a sage could it truly stand tall. The only exception was if the family's bloodline was exterminated so that the dead sage could no longer be worshipped. In the end, the sage level would fall into oblivion. Unfortunately, the sage level had existed for thousands of years. Basically, no one could exterminate the bloodline of a sage. Even the Lord of Seven Stars, Jiang Gongwang, had left behind his bloodline. Gu Qinsha didn't kill Jiang Qi. He even sent the general to watch over him and help him marry and have children. He wanted to develop the Jiang family's descendants so that they could worship Jiang Gongwang in the future. This was also the reason why Jiang Gongwang supported the coming Immortal Bureau. Gu Qinsha's actions were very appropriate. Now that the Crystal Palace was gone, Gu Qinsha circulated the power of his world and sucked the martial emperor into the sphere of life's will. This entire process didn't take long. No matter how many schemes the martial emperor had, no matter how many trump cards he had up his sleeve, in the face of absolute power, he was powerless to resist. Inside the sphere of life's will, the martial emperor was immobilized by a ball of rainbow light. Zhuge and Gu Qinsha stood in front of him. Martial emperor, you no longer have a chance to make a comeback. What else do you have to say? Winner takes all. What else can I say? It seems Heavenly Talisman Grand Emperor Gu Taxian really is much more powerful than me. I can't even defeat his son, so how could I possibly seize his empire? But I don't believe it. The martial emperor no longer referred to himself as sovereign. He had already lost everything. How could he still have the face to call himself solitary Taoist? What don't you believe? Gu Qinsha asked. You are an ambitious and ruthless person. In fact, you have also contributed greatly to the divine continent. Why do you still have the throne in your mind? I don't believe it. My resurrection must have been for some reason. How could I fall into depravity like this? The martial emperor roared. You merged with our sphere of life's will, allowing our sphere to become a dimensional realm. It suppressed the demon race, stabilized the world, and eliminated the devil calamity. This is your great achievement. Are you still not satisfied? Zhuge said. No, I absolutely cannot accept this. The martial emperor glared at Zhuge and Gu Qinsha. This world is mine. I must seize it back. The world is not yours, nor is it mine. It belongs to the people. Even an emperor is only leading the people forward with difficulty. Just like the tribal leaders in the untainted land, they cut their way through brambles and thistles, striving to be the first and risking their lives. Only then were they loved and respected by the people. The current emperor holds great power and exploits the world. He has lost the ancient intent. Gu Qinsha said, Martial Emperor, actually I don't want to kill you. I just want you to comprehend the true meaning of an emperor. Although an emperor is the leader of the people, he also has to protect them. When a calamity comes, he has to step forward bravely. Martial Emperor, if you can comprehend this, our tranquil immortal department can accommodate you. Junior, although you have captured me, it is still extremely difficult to refine me. I will let you know what it means to be an anomaly. Do you want to confuse my mind with these words and make me give up? That is impossible. Moreover, even if you refine my true body, I still have some tricks left behind. I am truly immortal. When have you ever seen a saint die? A saint has the ability to merge with the heavenly Tao. The martial emperor was unmoved. He still wanted to resist. Chapter 581. It was impossible for a martial emperor to be successfully brainwashed. If they succeeded, they would not have become an anomaly. Anyone who could become an anomaly would have an unwavering will, a spirit that surpassed the saints, and the solitude of going against the heavens. Even if they were to become enemies with everyone in the world, they would not waver in the slightest. How could this person be convinced? Dissuaded? Gu Qinsha didn't want to kill Martial Emperor. He was a talent, and if he could subdue him, he would be of great use in the future. Even with Jing Fanxing's ferocity, he only crippled him and used the banishing celestial palm to take everything from him. He didn't kill him. Martial Emperor was an outlier and couldn't be stripped of his talent. His cultivation was so high that it was impossible to strip him of his talent without harming his life. Since that was the case, Gu Qinsha could only kill him for the sake of the bigger picture. He spread his fingers, and the tentacles of the tree of hope swept over, wrapping around Martial Emperor and sucking him dry. The common people's wish ball wriggled and digested Martial Emperor. The Martial Emperor roared again and again, but it was useless. His power was being drained away continuously, and his entire body started to merge into the Tree of Hope. The Tree of Hope absorbed his power, and the God of Hope turned the sky and earth upside down, breathing in and out. It was invincible in the world. Martial Emperor cursed and was filled with hatred. Gu Qinsha shook his head and sighed. The Tao of Outliers is not to be underestimated. Martial Emperor, you went through so much and finally comprehended it. Unfortunately, you died before you could succeed. If you could use this Tao to contribute to the world, how great would that be? Unfortunately, you are too ambitious and self-centered. You will definitely be despised. Gu Qinsha, you junior, I won't die. I am immortal. Even if you destroy my true body, I still have many ways to revive. From now on, we will fight to the death. Martial Emperor's curses became stronger and stronger. Martial Emperor, after I refine you, I will obtain all your memories. Naturally, I will know that you have many ways to revive. If I search for them one by one, I will destroy all of them. Gu Qinsha's words left the Martial Emperor in despair. After we refine you, this minor kiliacosm will become a medium kiliacosm. At that time, do you think you can still be resurrected? I don't believe it. The tenacity of the Martial Emperor made Gu Qinsha gasp in amazement and secretly admire him. Gu Qinsha stopped talking to the Martial Emperor. He activated the heavenly Tao and infused it into the Tree of Desire, weakening the Martial Emperor once again. The Martial Emperor's final roar gradually weakened. In the end, the Martial Emperor turned into a ball of majestic Emperor Qi, and a pearl similar to the mutated pill appeared at its core. Divergent heart, Gu Qinsha exclaimed. When he saw the Martial Emperor's mutated heart, he realized that it was similar to the heaven-defying mutated pill created by the Xingqiang clan. Xingqiang clan is really strong. He can actually create a divergent heart. I used the heaven-defying mutated pill to refine the pill. Originally, there were many parts that I couldn't comprehend, but now it seems like the Martial Emperor's mutated heart and the heaven-defying mutated pill are compatible, allowing me to comprehend more things. At this moment, Gu Qinsha was filled with admiration towards Xingqiang clan. Xingqiang clan's strength had reached another limit. He was probably stronger than any one of the three heavenly venerables, and he seemed to have reached a higher realm. Normally speaking, after the Tao realm 36 transformations, one would jump out of the three realms and not be within the five elements. Such a realm was indescribable. However, as for how this realm was divided, Gu Qinsha didn't know. That was because such a realm was hard to describe with words. After reaching such a realm, everything would change, and one would even touch upon the true meaning of immortality. From Xing Qiangshi's perspective, there were many more changes after the 36 transformations, and that wasn't all. Other than that, no one knew what realm Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor Gu Taxian was at. But it could be said that he was far above the 3 heavenly venerables. Divergent Heart. Just at this moment, Gu Chansha suddenly activated the Heaven Dao Art. He started to transform into the Divergent Heart. He combined the changes of the heaven-defying Divergent Pill and also observed the Martial Emperor's Divergent Heart. He used the Heaven Dao Art to transform himself. How long? The Divergent Heart that he transformed into seemed like it was about to condense at any moment. If it succeeded, Gu Qinsha himself would become a Divergent. Unfortunately, no matter how much he transformed, the Divergent Heart was just a little bit away from completion. After circulating it for a long time, he transformed back once more and a contemplative expression appeared on his face. King is just a little bit away from completing the Divergent Dao. Zhuge said, just a small opportunity and you'll be able to break through and become a Divergent. Your Highness, with the cultivation of the heavenly Dao arts, you have become a Divergent, and your control over magic power will be able to bring out the best in each other. The Martial Emperor no longer has a chance to make a comeback. All of his magic power has been sucked away, and the source of his world energy has also begun to be refined. Even if he has become a Divergent's heart, it will only take him a few hours to put up a resistance. After refining this Divergent heart, the Tree of Wishes will be able to advance further and reach the highest level of evolution. It can even break through the changes of the Tree of Wishes and get closer to the Grand Mist Tree. Gu Qinsha said, the Martial Emperor indeed can turn things around. In that case, I won't care about this matter. After I refine the Martial Emperor, this world will naturally advance to a medium-grade world. This Divergent Heart will be the best catalyst. Indeed, Divergent Hearts are even rarer than saints. Even the Black Heaven Earthgate has never refined a Divergent Heart before. In fact, no Divergent Heart has appeared since ancient times. For us to be able to refine the Martial Emperor means that we have the upper hand in this calamity. Zhuge Yu was also carefully examining the Divergent Heart. He was now a double Lord of 7 stars, and the quality of his magic power was comparable to the Dharma saints. He surpassed any saint that had existed since ancient times. However, he still wanted to comprehend the Divergent Heart and learn more. The Dharma saint couldn't have imagined that we would be able to capture the Martial Emperor and refine him into the ball. That way, we would be able to obtain the catalyst and transform it into a medium-grade world before he did. In that case, everything is ready. Gu Qinsha said, next, we need to prepare for a court meeting. We need to put Wu Dangkong, Gu Xiansha, and the others under house arrest. We need to abolish their authority and replace them with people who can control the court. That's right. It's time to imprison those two. Their positions as Crown Prince and Regent were bestowed by the Emperor. We can't abolish them, but we can make them into mere figureheads. Zhuge Yu said, tell them to stay put. Don't think about anything else. They'll just be puppets. Wu Dongkong's Sun and Moon Agency and the Clearsky Chamber of Commerce need to be arrested, abolished, and confiscated. The same goes for Crown Prince Gu Xuansha's Hongyan Games. As for Gu Tanjian, it doesn't matter. My imperial father didn't confer a title on him, and yet he's working with the Great Spirit God to stir up trouble. This time, his National Fate Society needs to be wiped out. Gu Qinsha didn't want to fight with Wu Dangkong, Gu Tanjian, and Gu Xiansha. Instead, he struck like a bolt of lightning. He knew that if it wasn't for his ingenious plan, the Tranquil Immortal Department would have been torn apart even if they didn't die. Wu Dangkong and the others would have immediately come to annihilate the small world that had lost the sphere of the common people's wish. Wu Dangkong definitely wouldn't let anyone from the Communist Immortal Bureau off. Gu Qinsha saw that Zhuge Yu was in charge of refining the Martial Emperor's Divergent Heart and knew that there wouldn't be any problems. Zhuge Yu's cultivation had reached the 27th Dao realm transformation, seamless 2 worlds. He could use the power of space, so it would be much better for him to manage it. At that moment, the Fourth and Liu Baiwe had already headed to the capital city outside Savage Pass to gather the officials and governors to discuss the plan to fight against the demon. In the imperial court, since the emperor wasn't around, there was the country supervisor and the crown prince. But after all these years, Wu Dangkong and the crown prince's reputation had been ruined. All the governors and important officials in the court had joined the Communist Immortal Bureau, including the 3 dukes and 8 marquises. Apart from that, some of the officials were also roped in. And this time, Liu Baiwe directly called for a meeting in the imperial court, so she had a good reason to do so. She used the golden token, which was equivalent to the emperor personally arriving. Even the crown prince had to kneel before him. Many of the officials in the court had joined the Communist Immortal Bureau because of this token. This was because only Liu Baiwe had this token. Wu Dangkong and the crown prince didn't have it. Yanko's new capital city, under the constant expansion of the Heavenly Designer Bureau, was becoming more and more majestic. The city walls were made of green jade with a hint of blue, soft and exquisite. There were many battlements on the city walls, and they were covered in talismans. Formations were set up, and they were filled with killing intent. As long as an enemy came, the formation would be activated and they would be reduced to nothing. And high up in the sky was the floating palace. The palace had many levels, and between the white clouds, it was the true palace in the sky. There were also white jade steps inlaid with gold that snaked up from the ground to the sky palace. It was a miracle in the world. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor had purposely ordered the Heavenly Designer Bureau to build this floating palace. Originally, he had also ordered the 72 primordial mysterious sects to contribute their sect guarding treasures as materials for the palace to condense. Unfortunately, not a single one of the 72 mysterious sects had contributed. This was equivalent to disobeying the order. Gu Chansha directly flew to the front of the palace hall and saw that many officials had also arrived at the foot of the palace and were climbing up the stairs. Given their status, they didn't have the qualifications to fly directly to the square in front of the palace hall. They had to walk into the capital city and slowly climb up. Gu Chencha's status was extremely high, and he could enter directly. He strode into the great hall with his head held high, and saw that the high and lofty throne was empty. That was originally the seat of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, but it had been many years since he appeared. Chapter 582. The Emperor's throne, the Crown Prince, and the country supervisor were all in order. Below them were the Heavenly Craftsman Institute and the Calming Celestial Division. Below them were the seats of the Heavenly Craftsman Institute and the Calming Celestial Division. Below them, there were no seats. One had to stand. Even the 3 dukes and 8 marquises were no exception. This was a rule set by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. When Gu Chansha stepped into the court hall from the square outside the Great Hall, Liu Baiwe and Oldforth were already seated in their seats. At this time, the 3 dukes and 8 marquises had already arrived. It was unknown what Marquis Dashi was saying to Liu Baiwe. Marquis Dashi was tall and wore a stone green robe. He gave off an ancient aura like he was someone who had walked out of history. Seeing Gu Chansha enter, Marquis Dashi smiled and nodded. Congratulations, King. Your cultivation has reached a high level. This devil calamity is unprecedentedly fierce, but as long as King is here, we will be able to turn calamities into blessings. My Yonko will continue, and the world won't be plunged into misery. Marquis's words are too serious. Gu Chansha returned the greeting. I didn't expect Marquis to be a God Realm expert. With Marquis's help, the devil calamity won't be a problem. At this time, Gu Chencha's eyesight was extraordinary. He could see that Marquis Dashi's body contained the power of a second world. It was obvious that he had reached the God Realm. In the past, Marquis Dashi gave people the impression that his cultivation was around the 20th transformation of the Tao Realm. It seemed like he had been hiding it. Gu Chansha had expected that Marquis Dashi was unfathomable. He was the sworn brother of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, so how could he be so simple? Now that the devil calamity had erupted, Marquis Dashi didn't hide his strength anymore. This shocked the world. Deity-level experts, no matter where they were absolute overlords. In the immortal Dao's 72 arcane gates, deity-level experts were the absolute ancestors. In the devil race, deity-level experts were the lofty demon lords. A few years ago, because of the Jing clan's matter, the Iron Blood Marquis and Your Highness had a small conflict. It was only later that I understood Your Highness' painstaking efforts. At this time, the Iron Blood Marquis stepped forward and said, "Your Highness, please forgive me. Iron Blood Marquis, there's no need to be so polite. Now that we are facing a great enemy, the entire Imperial Court has to be united. We will do our best to supply the Iron Blood Marquis' blood Iron Warriors resources, weapons, and armors. In today's world, once the calamity strikes, demons will create chaos everywhere. Perhaps there will be some ambitious and ruthless people who will take advantage of the situation. We will have to rely on the Blood Iron Warriors to apprehend them." Gu Qinsha hurriedly waved his hands. These few years, the Tranquil Immortal Department and the Blood Iron Guards had been cooperating happily among the commoners. The Blood Iron Guards were originally used to monitor the world, apprehend bandits, and even corrupt officials. They were also used to investigate rebellions. There were many experts among the Blood Iron Guards, and they were feared by the commoners and officials alike. However, they still couldn't compare to the Tranquil Immortal Department, especially after the Tranquil Immortal Department created the Human and Dragon set. The Blood Iron Guards had completely fallen behind. Afterwards, with the help of the Stone Marquis, the Blood Iron Guards and the Tranquil Immortal Department had built up a good relationship. Not only did they receive a lot of support, even the Iron Blood Marquis himself had received the support of a large amount of pills, allowing his cultivation to rise steadily. Just the Dragon-Raising Sutra and Dragon-Making Sutra of the Tranquil Immortal Department could benefit countless experts. The Iron Blood Marquis wasn't an ordinary person. He was the reincarnation of the ancient Iron Blood War god. He was only 50 years old, but he had already cultivated to the 23 transformations of the Dao realm, past reflection. Even many unparalleled geniuses in the mystic immortal Dao sect couldn't compare to him. Logically speaking, even if it was an unparalleled genius, as long as they didn't have a fortuitous encounter, it was normal for them to cultivate the 18 transformations of the great Dao Golden Core within 100 years. A few years ago, the Iron Blood Marquis' cultivation was only at the 22 transformations of the law embodiment of heaven and earth. In recent years, he had finally made a breakthrough and comprehended some of the mysteries of time. But compared to the Stone Marquis, he was much weaker. As Gu Qinsha and the Stone Marquis conversed, the officials of the court entered one after another and stood in their positions. The officials of the upper study room all stood in front, and the most eye-catching one was actually Fong Lin. He was the top scholar and had been promoted by the Heaven Talisman Emperor. He was already an unparalleled genius and was loyal to the court. He had never been roped in by Wu Dangkong. Gu Qinsha had also transformed into Fong Lin in the Human Dragon League. However, this Fong Lin wasn't the Fong Lin that he was. In the world, there were tens of thousands of people called Fong Lin. "Greetings, Your Highness." When Fong Lin saw Gu Qinsha, his eyes flashed and he hurriedly bowed. Gu Qinsha smiled kindly. He could tell that Fong Lin was an amazing person. His cultivation was really deep and was probably no weaker than the Iron Blood Marquis. Moreover, he seemed to have received some pointers from the Heaven Talisman Emperor. During these years, he had also had many encounters. In this calamity, he would definitely be a powerful person. After less than an hour, all the ministers in the imperial court and even many important governors had arrived. The Central Plains of China was originally very large. In the past, in order to gather all the governors, it would take a few months, half a year, or even a year on the road. Now, the Coming Celestial Agency manufactured large amounts of flying boats, and the Celestial Craft Institute also had their own flying machines. Flying tools started to spread among the various aristocratic families. Naturally, the governors and the inspector general also had extremely fast flying boats. It was the newest product of the calming celestial agency, the human dragon boat. There were numerous talismans carved on it, and it shot through the clouds like lightning. In terms of speed alone, it was comparable to a Tao Realm 18 transformation golden core, great Tao expert. This kind of speed was enough for the governors to rush to the court for a meeting. It greatly increased the court's cohesiveness and efficiency. This was just the first step in the calming celestial agency's plan. Next, they wanted to turn all the county magistrates into Tao Realm 1 transformation experts who could abstain from eating. All the prefectures would become Tao Realm 7 transformation experts who could levitate off the ground or above. All the inspector generals would become Tao Realm 9 transformation experts with glass jade bodies. Finally, all the governors would have to be cultivators who had cultivated the Heaven I-15 transformation. In this way, the ability of the world to operate and the government decrees of the imperial court would reach a peak. The Eternity dynasty was simply too large. Discounting the territory it had conquered from the wildlands, the Central Divine Prefecture alone had 99 prefectures. Each prefecture had 10 or dozens of provincial capitals, and each provincial capital had dozens of prefectural cities, and each prefectural city had dozens of prefectural cities, and each prefectural city had dozens or hundreds of counties. This didn't even include the hundreds of islands and continents that had been recruited overseas. In ancient times, it would have been very difficult to unify such a huge world. Even if it had been unified, it would have been impossible to manage it all. The court still had to rely on the various aristocratic families, local tyrants, temples, and sects to maintain a weak form of order. Even when it was the martial emperor, many policies couldn't be carried out and had to be compromised. Only the heavenly talisman emperor could suppress everything. He first sealed the gods, destroyed many temples, and destroyed the biggest faction. Then he opened canals, moved mountains, built the Great Wall, built railways, etc. It was like the meridians of the entire country had been opened up. It became lively right away. Gu Chansha looked at the officials who entered in a single file, and he suddenly understood something. It seems like the most important thing in governing a country is to open up the roads and information. The roads are like the meridians of a person, and if they aren't clear, the court won't be able to send out information, and the government won't be able to send out orders. Even wealth won't be able to circulate, which will result in bloated people. It seems like our calming celestial agency needs to focus on building flying boats, even ones that have no offensive or defensive abilities. As long as it can fly and be easily transported, then the country will truly prosper. Gu Chansha comprehended many theories about governing a country. He used the world as a metaphor for people. There were actually many points of communication. In an instant, his understanding of the sun, of heaven's aura deepened. At the same time, he understood how the ancient sun of heaven cultivated. Governing a country was like cultivating one's body. The ancient sages said cultivating the body, unifying the family, and conquering the world. There is some truth hidden in it. Crown Prince, concubine Ming has arrived. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out from outside. Many officials looked towards the entrance and saw Crown Prince Gu Xiansha and concubine Ming Wu Dangkong entering the hall with their guards. Other than them, there's also a large group of princes and princesses following behind them. For example, the 10th prince, the 3rd prince, the 4th prince, the 14th prince, the 18th prince, and the others who had been at odds with Gu Chansha all those years ago. The 7th prince, Gafasha, was shockingly among them as well. Including the guards, there were more than 100 people who surged into the main hall, creating quite a great commotion. Fortunately, the Imperial Court Hall was large enough to accommodate hundreds of thousands of people, let alone hundreds of thousands. This was the largest Imperial Court Hall in history. Because of the demon disaster, everyone was in a state of panic, and an Imperial Court Hall was necessary to stabilize the situation and reassure the people and officials of the world. Moreover, the Calming Deity Department wanted to reorganize the situation and purge Wu Dangkong, Gu Xiansha, and the others. After so many years of operation, the calming deity department had won over most of the officials in the world. Whether it was the people or the officials, basically everyone knew that the calming deity department was the savior of the world. This time, Lu Baiwei used the golden token of "as if I was here" to gather the officials. This was to clear the obstacles in one fell swoop. But Wu Dangkong and the Crown Prince Gu Xuansha's forces wouldn't be willing to accept this. In the royal court, the atmosphere would definitely be tense. Wu Dangkong might even do something desperate. Gu Qinsha had already expected this. He had suppressed the martial emperor, and as long as he refined the heart of divergence, the sphere would immediately ascend to a dimensional realm. At that time, he wouldn't be afraid of these people stirring up any waves. Wu Dangkong and Crown Prince Gu Qinsha walked into the hall and sat down on the Crown Prince's seat and the regent's seat. Some guards were standing below. Gu Qinsha actually saw Fa Wuxian and Xian and among the guards. Gu Tanjian and some of the princes and grandsons were standing on the seats of the royal family. Chapter 583. After Wu Dangkong sat down, he swept his gaze over the Celestial Communist Bureau, not bothering to conceal his hatred. This meeting could be said to have shed all pretense of cordiality and attacked the other party. Lu Baiwei, you actually used the Regal Majesty's token to convene a court meeting? Are you trying to rebel? The Crown Prince residents didn't even know about this and didn't discuss it with us. Aren't you being too overconfident? After Wu Dangkong sat down, his voice was sharp and piercing, causing the hearts of many officials in the hall to tighten. As expected, the confrontation began. The devil calamity broke out, and the world is in turmoil. Your Celestial Communist Bureau and the Crown Prince residents didn't take any action. You have ulterior motives, disregarding the lives of the common people. You actually dare to blame the Celestial Communist Bureau? Lu Baiwei spoke without batting an eyelid. Don't tell me you know that when the people are in a state of panic, we must convene a meeting to stabilize the situation? Or do you want the world to fall into chaos and plot something you shouldn't be plotting? Lu Baiwei, I'm the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince personally conferred by the Emperor. What could I be plotting? Gu Xuansha's eyes shone with a piercing light. But the Celestial Communist Bureau, what are you plotting? Ha! At this moment, a voice rang out. Now that the world is in turmoil and the devil calamity has broken out, the Imperial Court is actually fighting openly and covertly. My Celestial Designer Institute can't bear to see this. The Celestial Designer Institute's master, Princess Xuansha, has arrived. At this moment, the eunuch in the hall shouted. His voice was loud and clear, spreading out in all directions. Gu Qinsha discovered that the two devil Taoist ancestor masters, Wang Bei and Gao Ling, had actually joined the Celestial Designer Institute. This was to be expected. These devil Taoist ancestor masters were originally subordinates of the Immortal Lord, assisting the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Now that the Heavenly Talisman Emperor was in seclusion and his whereabouts were unknown, it was only natural that these devil Taoist ancestor masters would listen to the Immortal Lord and the daughter of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Who is Princess Xuansha? Many people in the Imperial Court had never heard of this person. They could not help but whisper among themselves. Eunuch Wang Bei and Gao Ling walked in, with Gu Xuansha, as well as a man and a woman. They were Maha Linfeng and Maha Sui Sui. The other two were the Devil Dao patriarchs of the Uncanny Hatchet. Wang Bei and Gao Ling were the sect masters of the Everlasting Hatred Demon Sect and the Six Paths Demon Sect, while Uncanny Workmanship was the sect master of the Yama Demon Sect and the Reincarnation Demon Sect. The 36 demon sects of the Primordial Era and the 72 profound sects of the Immortal Tao had been opposing each other for countless years. The group of people from the Heavenly Craft Institution sat down in front of their seats. Wang Bei and Gao Ling took out an imperial edict. This is the edict left behind by the Emperor. The head of the Heavenly Craft Institution will be Princess Xuansha. Princess Xuansha is the Emperor's daughter. It's just that she's not in the palace. Today, the Imperial Court shall announce this. The appointment and dismissal of the Celestial Designer Institute was not something that the High Study could interfere with. It had always been directly ordered by the emperor himself. Only after the imperial edict was taken out did the various discussions in the imperial court die down. All right, since everyone is here, let the imperial court begin. Liu Baiwei stood up, holding the imperial medallion. She walked step by step to the emperor's throne. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, she placed the imperial medallion on the throne, walked down, and performed 3 kowtows and 9 kowtows. Seeing her doing this, all the officials also knelt down. Long live the emperor! Long live the emperor! Wu Dankong, Gu Xiansha, and the rest also felt that it was inappropriate for them to just sit. They also left their seats and knelt down. As for the people from the Heavenly Craft Institution, they also knelt down and kowtowed towards the imperial medallion. Originally, F.A. Wuxian was too arrogant and unruly to kowtow, but he knew from the Dharma saint how powerful Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor was. In addition, he had a big plan today, so he could only endure it for now. Gu Qinsha couldn't help but be secretly shocked when he saw many mysterious existences after Wu Dankong chose to kneel. Many people in the immortal Dao hated Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor to the bone. For example, Xianin, his brother Xian Xin, was killed by Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor. If F.A. Wuxian and Xian didn't kneel just now, Gu Qinsha would immediately activate his cultivation and kill the 2 of them in the name of great disrespect. After the 3 kowtows and 9 kowtows, the officials returned to their positions. The imperial medallion was placed on the emperor's throne. Liu Baiwei was the first to speak. As an official, the first wave of the demon disaster was stopped by the calming immortal department. The second wave was suppressed by the Buddhist sect of the Human Dragon League, which contributed greatly. I propose that the Imperial Court make the Human Dragon League an official organization. What does everyone think? The officials immediately understood Liu Baiwei's intention. If the Human Dragon League was made an official organization, it meant that the National Treasury would have to provide subsidies. More importantly, it was a political signal. The Human Dragon League slogan was "Kill the treacherous concubine, clean up the emperor's side." It was directed at Wu Dankong. If it was made an official organization, it meant that Wu Dankong would lose all power. More importantly, other than taxes, the Imperial Court's biggest source of finance was the Celestial Designer Department and the Calming Immortal Department. Every year, the Celestial Designer Department and the Calming Immortal Department would take out a lot of finance and put it into the National Treasury. The National Treasury was allocated by the Upper Study Room and the Ministry of Revenue. That was to say, it was in the hands of Wu Dankong. The salaries of officials, local construction, and the allocation of various resources were all reported to the Upper Study Room by the Ministry of Revenue. Then, the Upper Study Room would discuss it and let the Regent Wu Dankong sign it before it could be distributed. In the years that Wu Dankong had been in power, she had secretly swallowed the National Treasury's resources, built up her own clear sky chamber of commerce, nurtured trusted aides, and suppressed dissidents. Any official that supported her would be given resources from the National Treasury. Any official that opposed her could forget about getting any money, rations, or resources. She was also hindered in many ways, making it impossible for normal local affairs to run smoothly. Fortunately, the 4th Gu Huasha had used the resources of the Calming Immortal Department to help many officials out of trouble, bypassing the National Treasury that Wu Dankong was in charge of and allowing various places to develop vigorously. This way, she had won over the hearts of all the officials, and, at the same time, made it impossible for Wu Dankong to do anything about it. Although this was a small struggle in the Imperial Court, without Gu Qinsha's fame and reputation, it was far more complicated and difficult than a battle with a god-level expert. Gu Qinsha knew that the 4th's methods and struggles in the Imperial Court were not something that Wu Dankong and Gu Xiansha could compare to. Back then, when Hong had evaluated that among Gu Taxian's many sons, only the 4th was not bad. In particular, recently, the 4th had advanced to become an innate sage, and if prestige had become even stronger. He had carried out a series of arrangements, which was why the calming immortal department had called for this imperial court meeting. Nonsense! As expected, Wu Dangkong flew into a rage and immediately objected. The Human Dragon Union is a rebel. To think that the slogan they are shouting is to rid the emperor of evil doings. This is a slogan that only rebellious people have shouted in the past. I think that the Human Dragon Union has long been in cahoots with the demon race and is just putting on a show. Your calming immortal department has supported the Human Dragon Union and has long had the intention to rebel. Liu Baiwe. At this time, Crown Prince Gu Xinsha spoke. The Human Dragon Union is indeed disloyal and rebellious. Purging the Emperor of evil doings is itself a great disrespect. Let's not talk about this for now. Let's talk about the actual situation. With the outbreak of the demon disaster, the Imperial Court will have to spend a lot of money, and the National Treasury is already struggling to make ends meet. How about this? Your calming immortal department should first increase the revenue that the National Treasury has been receiving for the past 10 times to support the expenses of the world. Oh, I knew that the National Treasury was being run by your people, and the revenue was not enough to make ends meet. The fourth, Gu Huasha, stood up and said, "Actually, it's very simple. My suggestion is to abolish the Sun and Moon Bureau and confiscate the assets of the Clearsky Chamber of Commerce, the Hongyun Games, and the National Fortune Party. In recent years, your 3 chambers of commerce have been swallowing the National Treasury and doing many illegal things. It's a good time to investigate all of them. It's more than enough to support the Human Dragon Union." At this point, many of the Imperial Court officials and ministers understood the intentions of the calming immortal department. They were determined to suppress Wu Dangkong and the Crown Prince, as well as Gu Tanjian. Supporting the Human Dragon Union, abolishing the Sun and Moon Bureau, confiscating the assets of the Clearsky Chamber of Commerce, the Hongyun Games, and the National Fortune Party. If all of these were completed, Wu Dangkong and the Crown Prince would lose all their authority and become mere puppets. The fourth, your ambition has finally been exposed. At this time, the 10th Prince, Gu Jinsha, stood up, a cold smile on his face. Your calming immortal department wants to suppress the Crown Prince so that you can seize his position, right? Oh, I was wondering who it was. So it's the 10th Prince. Gu Jinsha laughed. This was his old rival. However, in the past 10 years, he had left Gu Jinsha far behind. Now, not to mention Gu Jinsha, Gu Chansha could even suppress and kill the deity-level old ancestor of the Lei clan behind him. The Lei clan's ancestor was not a saint, but he was even stronger than one. The Thunder God was an ancient god who had attained the position of a true god. He was even more ancient than the Dharma saint, and he was also sealed and suppressed by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Old 19, you've really been surging like a storm recently. The 10th Prince, Gu Jinsha, looked at Gu Chansha with great hatred. I know that you've cultivated some evil martial arts. Are you thinking of relying on this to force the Crown Prince to usurp the throne? Old 10, you have no right to speak here today. Gu Chansha looked over calmly. You're just an idle state duke who hasn't even been conferred a title by a king. All these years, you've been expanding your territory in the wildlands, but you haven't made any progress. I, on the other hand, destroyed the demonic ape temple of chaos and killed the ape demon race's patriarch, Yuan Huang, as well as my subordinates, the 10 great battle kings. I've expanded my territory by hundreds of thousands of li. Back then, when you wanted to compete with me in this in front of my imperial father, I couldn't be bothered to pay attention to it. But now, this is an important matter in the imperial court. How dare you spout nonsense here? If you say another word, I'll throw you out of this imperial court. Do you believe me? The 10th Prince, Gu Chansha, must have reached some sort of agreement with Wu Dangkong and Gu Xinsha. He must have gained some sort of benefit by raising his voice in the imperial court. In the past, Gu Chansha was also the one who took the lead in everything. He had a fiery temper. He had suppressed Gu Chansha many times. Chapter 584. Gu Qinsha had directly threatened to throw the 10th prince, Gu Jinsha, out of the imperial court. This was a blatant humiliation, but no one thought that what he said was false. To the leaders of the coming celestial agency, Liu Baiwei held the title of regal presence and was the person in charge. Adding on the fact that he was in charge of the common people's wish academy, he had the reputation of being a saint. The fourth son, Gu Huasha, was in charge of activities in the imperial court, contacting officials and helping those in danger. Among the officials of every rank in the imperial court, he was the true crown prince and the future emperor. Zhuge, on the other hand, had the image of a peerless sage. Even if he didn't appear with his title as the Lord of Seven Stars, he would be able to threaten others. As for Jin Suebua, he was the celestial path's vanguard. In many people's eyes, he was the one who sent the wealth of the celestial path into the imperial court. On the other hand, Gu Qinsha's image was that of a ferocious and peerless fighter who could kill gods and slay immortals. He was a true god of war that belonged to the imperial court. Many officials and enemies only felt nervous when they heard his name and didn't dare to make any small movements. Since he entered the world, he had killed the 4 demons, the Black Demon Bat, Yin Yang Scholar, Poisonous Dragon Taoist, and the Blood Soul Sect leader. He had also destroyed the barbarian race's temple. Then, he had used his Tao Realm 6 transformation cultivation to kill the 14 transformation Lightning Beast King. That was already shocking enough. Later on, Gu Qinsha's name truly shook the world when he killed Scarlet Cloud Sect Xiaoyan, Wang Ji, crippled Jing Fanxing, and forced Gu back. This was equivalent to directly offending Scarlet Cloud Sect and Black Heaven Earth Sect. Of course, in the eyes of some old antiques, this wasn't much. What really made Gu Qinsha afraid was that he had wreaked havoc on small Sumer Mountain. Under the attacks of the ape race's 3 God Realm ancestors, the 1,000 Transformation Stone Ape, Yin Yang Ghost Ape, and Diamond Fighting Ape, he had stolen the 10,000 Demon Human Transformation painting and killed the ape race leader and the 10 Battle Kings. This was the event that truly made Gu Qinsha a terrifying existence. As for the many major things that Gu Qinsha did after that, they were all done in secret and not many people knew about them. He even infiltrated all the law realms and instigated the Wu clan to fall apart. Even the legalism faction and the Wu clan themselves did not know who was the one who did this. However, everyone knew in their hearts that Gu Qinsha was the blade of the Celestial Tranquility Department. When it came to killing people, he would definitely not hesitate. In the past, the 10th prince, Gu Jinsha, was also known as the most bad-tempered among the princes. However, compared to the current Gu Qinsha, he was like a child. After hearing Gu Qinsha's words, Gu Jinsha wanted to roar with all his might and turn the tables on the imperial court. However, there was a pressure that prevented him from saying anything, and his face turned red. At that moment, a middle-aged man appeared behind Gu Jinsha and stood in front of him. Kacha, a formless pressure crashed onto his body. He waved his sleeves, and this force was shattered. Gu Qinsha had used a trace of mental pressure just now. Oh, so it's one of the Lei clan's patriarchs, Thunder Extreme Origin. Gu Qinsha had long since obtained intelligence on which deity rank experts the various aristocratic families had. The Lei clan had a lot of deity rank experts, a total of 10, one more than the Wu clan. This Thunder Extreme Origin in front of him was one of the Lei clan's 10 patriarchs. He actually disguised himself as a guard and followed behind Gu Jinsha. It was clear that the Lei clan was also very interested in the imperial court struggle. Moreover, the Lei clan was also very wary of the Celestial Tranquility Department. You recognize me, your patriarch? The middle-aged man glared at Gu Qinsha. It was as if he wanted to give Gu Qinsha the same kind of pressure. Unfortunately, when the pressure reached Gu Qinsha's body, it was absorbed cleanly. This made Lei Ji Yuanshen a little apprehensive. Gu Qinsha swallowed the primordial Dragon Gate talisman, and along with his Tao Realm 24 Transformation Future Peering Realm, he was far from a deity realm expert. However, with his Heaven Path technique cultivation and his own abilities, Even if he didn't use the common people's wish ball, it was still impossible for a deity realm expert to kill him. If he used the Wanxiang shattering stick, normal world creation god realm experts might not be able to do anything to him. They might even be injured by him. Of course, if he relied on his own strength, it would be really tough to kill a deity realm expert. If he used the common people's wish ball, it would be totally different. Even an emperor would be sucked away in one move. The power of a minor thousand world was equivalent to 1,000 minor dust worlds. It was definitely not ordinary. Now, the common people's wish ball was about to become a medium-sized world. That was equivalent to 1,000 small-sized worlds. How could a deity realm expert compare to that? Each and every move of the aristocratic families is under our control. Thunder Extreme Origin, you aren't an official of the imperial court. So why did you come here today? Gu Qinsh's attitude was really firm today. His original intention was to work with Liu Baiyue and the Fourth to completely suppress Wu Dankong and Gu Xinsha. He didn't want to be entangled here. Only by quickly unifying the imperial court could they focus their strength and fight the demon disaster. Otherwise, if this continued, the world would be torn apart. Those aristocratic families would add fuel to the fire and cause trouble in an instant. Does the imperial court really think that you are invincible? Wu Dankong said, Senior Thunder Extreme Origin is a guest elder I invited. He works in the Sun and Moon Division. Your imperial court actually dares to say that you want to abolish the Sun and Moon Division. Who gave you the right to do so? It would be better to hold a court meeting today. I propose that we abolish the imperial court. That's right, abolish the imperial court, Thunder Extreme Origin said. In recent years, the imperial court has gone against the grain and destroyed order, causing even the weaklings to challenge the authority of the aristocratic families. The aristocratic families of the world have no one to rely on. If this continues, the country will no longer be a country. This is what it means to sweep the floor and destroy etiquette. On behalf of the Thunder family, I have come to the Sun and Moon Division as a guest elder to propose that we abolish the imperial court. Governors and officials, what do you think? Unexpectedly, the Thunder family was the first to jump out before the legalists did. The imperial court was personally appointed by the emperor, and its status is transcendent. Aside from the emperor, no one can propose to abolish it. Furthermore, over the years, 80% of the imperial court's finances have come from the imperial court. The imperial court's contributions to the world have long since surpassed all other organizations. Marquis Dashi slowly said, Extreme Thunder Essence, you're just a country bumpkin. How dare you talk about politics here? Marquis Dashi's tone was calm, but his words were harsh. He directly called Thunder Extreme Origin a mountain man. You, as a god rank expert, Thunder Extreme Origin was high and mighty. No one had ever scolded him like this before. Instead of getting angry, he laughed. Ha! I, Thunder Extreme Origin, have lived for 2,000 years and seen the Divine Prefecture's imperial court change dozens of times. Today is the first time I've been called a mountain man in a mortal court. Marquis Dashi, you and your Sure family will be exterminated because of this. How dare you? Gu Qinsha suddenly stepped forward, approaching Thunder Extreme Origin step by step. An incomparable baleful aura emanated from his body. It was the baleful aura of the immortal, slaying god flying knife. Thunder Extreme Origin, you're a mere god rank expert. How can you compare to the minor chiliocosms of dozens of demon races and countless demon saints and demon gods? What is your Thunder family in front of the demon race? Our imperial court can't even deal with the demon race's attacks. So how can we tolerate your Thunder family's rampage? I think Marquis Dashi is wrong. You're not a mountain man, but an idiot who can't even compare to a mountain man. How can the imperial court tolerate you behaving atrociously, threatening important officials, and speaking rudely? If we let you leave here alive today, where will the dignity of the imperial court be? How can our imperial court still be called imperial court? Gu Qinsha had made up his mind. Today, he would establish his might. Whoever dared to stop him, he would kill them. Thunder Extreme Origin looked at Gu Qinsha's incoming momentum and sensed his baleful aura. He was shocked. the immortal slaying god flying knife. Hold it. At this time, a young man with white hair stepped forward from behind third Prince Gavasha. A small bow appeared in his hand, and there were 2 arrows on it. They spun as they aimed at Gu Chunsha. The bow and the arrows represented the character for Buddha. These were the supreme divine weapons of the Fan family, the sect-defining treasures, the release bow, and the everlasting impermanence arrow. The Fan family was a descendant of the Buddhist sect, but it was actually a branch. It wasn't orthodox and belonged to the Hinayana sect, not the Mahayana sect. However, the release bow and the everlasting impermanence arrow were taken from the Hongmeng tree by the Supreme Buddha. These 2 treasures also came from the Buddhist sect. Fan family's fanbai. Gu Chensha looked at the bow and smiled in disdain. You are the top expert out of the Fan family's 8 God Realm experts, and also the true family head. Why do you want the Fan family to be dragged into the Imperial Court's battle? Have you joined the Sun Moon Department? Of course, I am the guest elder of the Sun Moon Department. In the future, it will replace the calm Celestial Department. Fanbai was the true old ancestor of the Fan family. The Fan family had 8 God Realm experts and many God artifacts. They also had a small world grotto heaven. Ancestor Fan was at Saint Realm, and Fanbai's cultivation had reached the Tao Realm 32 transformation, one thought connecting to heaven. He was just a step away from becoming a saint. The bow in his hand was the original and not a fake. It was definitely a Xiantian treasure, the source of Buddha. He had stopped Gu Chansha from killing the extreme Thunder Source. It seems like the aristocratic families are finally working together, Liu Baiwei said. Those of you from the aristocratic families, come out. I want to see if you're really going to work together to disrupt the Imperial Court. This isn't disrupting the Imperial Court. An old man appeared next to Wu Dankong. He was one of the Wu family's God Realm experts, Wu Pagong. He exchanged glances with the extreme Thunder Source and Fanbai. The aristocratic families are working together under the mandate of the heavens to abolish the calm Celestial Department. Mandate of the heavens. The 4th said, what mandate? Chapter 585. Legalism, Dharma Idol Realm. Empress, please take out the decree. A God-level expert appeared behind Gu Fasha. It was one of the 13 patriarchs of the legalism school, Dharma Idol Realm. Hong Clan, Hong Lai Pavilion. Empress, please take out the decree. This is a talisman of the heavenly Tao. Whoever obtains it will receive the mandate of heaven and will be the son of heaven. Behind the 18th prince, Gu Hongsha, was an old-timer who was also a deity. It was none other than the Hong clan patriarch. Yun Feishi of the Yun clan. Please take out the decree. Behind 14th Prince Gu Yunsha, another expert appeared. Our noble clans don't recognize the emperor, only the heavenly Taos. We accept the heavenly sacrificial talisman, which is decreed by the heavens. Since ancient times, this is the true Son of Heaven. Whoever obtains this talisman is the Son of Heaven recognized by the heavens and is recognized by our noble clans. Everything else is just fleeting clouds. When Chi Dan of the One Clan, I only recognize the bearer of the decree. Another expert stepped forward from Wu Dongkong's bodyguard squad. It was the god-level patriarch of the One Clan. The One Clan was the descendant of Sage One, and their status was comparable to the Wu clan. The One Clan had a disciple, Wen Hanlong, who was the governor of the Dharma province. He had the highest cultivation base among the governors, having already reached the 22 transformations, the heavenly manifestations of heaven and earth. Unfortunately, Wen Hanlong had no say in the One Clan. The One Clan had as many experts as the clouds, and like the Wu clan, they had 9 god-level patriarchs. For the One Clan to step forward to support Wu Dankong showed that they had been contacted. Ever since the Immortal Calmness Department established the Common People's Wish Collegium to disseminate the Dragon Nourishing Heart Sutra and Dragon Creation Heart Sutra, they had become enemies with the aristocratic clans. The aristocratic clans would never allow the Dragon Nourishing Heart Sutra and Dragon Creation Heart Sutra to spread. It was impossible for the various aristocratic families to spread the dragon nurturing mantra and the dragon creation technique. Otherwise, if everyone in the world was a genius, a peerless genius, what advantage would the aristocratic families have? Furthermore, the aristocratic clans all wanted to break through the immortal calmness department and acquire the Dragon Nourishing Heart Sutra and Dragon Creation Heart Sutra, as well as other resources, such as the 4 divine beasts. The military clan has 10,000 enmities. I hope to see the decree come into being and the Son of Heaven come into being. We can assist the Son of Heaven and be bestowed the title of True God. The people of the military family actually appeared. The military clan was a descendant of the war saint. They had always kept a low profile and had little to do with the imperial court. Moreover, they had once supported the heavenly talisman emperor. It was just that they didn't send any women into the harem. Of course, it was only natural for this sage family to jump out now. The position of a true god in the heaven sacrificial talisman was very attractive to families. Furthermore, many of the aristocratic families could tell that the destiny of the current world was thousands of times greater than that of ancient times. The number of people was unimaginable. If they could take advantage of the devil calamity to suppress the celestial calmness department, not only would they be able to obtain resources, but they would also be able to support Wu Dankong to become the Son of Heaven. Then, they would immediately begin to offer sacrifices to the heavenly Daos and confer a deity title. With the current prosperity of the world, there were many deity positions that could be conferred. Moreover, Wu Dankong's cultivation was shallow, unlike the ancient emperors. The ancient heavenly sons of heaven all had deep cultivation and could operate the heavenly Tao. They were not to be bullied. In the eyes of many aristocratic families, Wu Dankong was just a puppet. He was nothing to worry about and could be manipulated. Manipulating a puppet to obtain the position of a true god was something that any aristocratic family would be happy to see. Hence, these aristocratic families had to make use of this court assembly to let the officials of the world know that the aristocratic families were the true masters of the world. In history, there were aristocratic families that had existed for 10,000 years, but there were no dynasties that had lasted for 10,000 years. No matter how powerful the imperial court was, it was still made of iron, and its soldiers were like flowing water. This time, the aristocratic families seemed to have reached some kind of agreement. They wanted to depose the Son of Heaven and control the divine item. Gu Qinsha saw these true god aristocratic families and sage aristocratic families coming out one by one to express their stance. Many of the officials of the imperial court also had expressions of fear. They were indeed somewhat afraid. In this kind of situation, any official would be afraid, especially now that the devil calamity had erupted. The world was in turmoil, and the aristocratic families were making things difficult for the imperial court. As long as something went wrong, the imperial court would immediately collapse. It was unknown how many people would be killed, and their families would be destroyed. If the Celestial Calmness Department won, it would be fine. The officials of the world would be at ease. If Wu Dankong won, the imperial court would definitely carry out a great purge. But even if the Celestial Calmness Department won, the retaliation of the aristocratic families would be unbearable. The world would still suffer the greatest upheaval in history. The governors of the aristocratic families were all hoping that the heavenly talisman emperor would suddenly appear at this time to suppress the crowd and stabilize the situation. Unfortunately, the heavenly talisman emperor did not appear. Ha! Gu Qinsha laughed. You aristocratic families actually jumped out. Could it be that you want to support Wu Dankong as the Son of Heaven? Does that mean you want to go against His Majesty? Whoever has the heaven sacrifice decree will be the Son of Heaven. Extreme Thunder Origin looked at Gu Qinsha with a baleful aura. Junior, don't be fooled by your recent rise. That's just the final radiance of a setting sun. Celestial Calmness Department. Could it be that you can really celestial calmness? Your aristocratic families are quite bold. Although the Emperor isn't here right now, we still have the Golden Medallion. Seeing the Golden Medallion is the same as seeing the Emperor. You're roaring in court like this. This is disgraceful. Are you not afraid that the emperor will return? His Majesty? Extreme Thunder Origin was extremely disdainful. Today, I want to see if the medallion is here. You want to suppress our aristocratic families with just a medallion? What a joke. Give me the medallion. As he spoke, Extreme Thunder Origin's body moved. Under everyone's watchful eyes, he appeared in front of the emperor's throne. He looked at the medallion and suddenly reached out to grab it. Immediately, all the officials and governors let out gasps of surprise. No one had expected that Extreme Thunder Origin would be so rebellious. He was so contemptuous of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor that he didn't even care about. After all, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor had suppressed the gods and the immortal Tao. He was a figure that even the three Heavenly Venerables feared. Although he had disappeared for a few years, the power he left behind not long ago had repelled the Xingqiang clan. The aristocratic families were still very wary of the means he had left behind. The Dharma saint only dared to lay out his plans in secret. He didn't jump out to openly promote the Spirit Demon Project. He still had to observe for a while. Extreme Thunder Origin was truly bold. He was extremely arrogant and arrogant. He personally went to grab the medallion of celestial calmness. He wanted to ruthlessly trample the emperor's authority under his feet. In terms of arrogance and despotism, the Lei family ranked first among the many saint aristocratic families. The legalism family was the strongest in terms of overall strength. However, the legalism family's every action emphasized order, law, and rules. Arrogance was secondary. After so many years, only F.A. Wuxian's behavior was out of line. He was regarded as an anomaly and disliked by the old antiques of the family. As for the Wu family, although they advocated martial strength, the changes of the martial Tao focused on stopping wars. The Wu family's disciples usually treated others well. The Fan family considered themselves a Buddhist orthodoxy. They were modest, courteous, and merciful. Only the Lei family was ferocious and explosive. Their nature was like thunder and lightning, and they slaughtered without restraint. This could be seen from the 10th prince, Gu Chunsha. Back then, the 10th prince had a fiery temper. Every time the princes fought, he would stir up trouble. He had even beaten up Gu Chunsha. Now, the Lei family's god-level ancestor sat on the emperor's throne and grabbed the medallion. From this, it could be seen that the Lei family, from top to bottom, was filled with madness. Back then, the thunder god had also been like this. He had two sides. He created all things and destroyed all things. The extreme lightning essence's hand reached out and grabbed the gold medallion. When it was only 3 inches away, the gold medallion suddenly began to shine with golden light. The golden light was fine and dense, and yet everyone could sense that it was filled with boundless majesty. This majesty was the highest standard that had existed since ancient times. It was a law that no one could escape from. What is this? Thunder Extreme Source was extremely shocked. He quickly retreated. He seemed to sense something extremely terrifying. His face was twisted in disbelief. He wanted to quickly escape. There were many experts present, all of them using the heavenly Taos to transcend mortality and enter sainthood. However, none of them knew what was happening. The golden light broke through space and time. Even a god-level expert would be extremely weak in front of this golden light. He wouldn't be able to resist at all. In the blink of an eye, Thunder Extreme Origin's body was entangled by the densely packed golden threads and wrapped into a large cocoon. Thunder Extreme Source let out a furious roar from within the cocoon. Thunder Extreme Source rumbled. Everyone knew that this was bad, but no one dared to act rashly. The first ancestor of the Fan family, Fanbai, was really pale. He gripped the extrication bow and the constant and impermanence arrows in his hands. He was sweating profusely. Wu Dangkong had originally wanted to take out the heavenly sacrifice talisman edict to suppress everyone and ascend the throne in one go. But now, his heart had shrunk into a ball. The power of the medallion meant that the power of the heavenly talisman Great Emperor was still present. Spare me. Spare me. Your Majesty, spare me. I won't dare do it again. Ah, My life lamp, the various incarnations I left behind. Within the golden cocoon, the Thunder Extreme essence suddenly begged for mercy, but it was to no avail. Suddenly, the golden cocoon stopped wriggling. Everyone watched as countless golden threads penetrated into the depths of the void and captured the incarnations of the Thunder Extreme essence. As a god-level expert, the Thunder Extreme source had left behind countless tricks. As the saying goes, a crafty rabbit has 3 burrows. Even if his true body was destroyed, his incarnations could still preserve their memories and use various methods to resurrect. But now, the golden threads from the Regal Propria medallion had captured all of Thunder Extreme Source's incarnations, no matter how far away they were, no matter where they were hiding in the Lightning family's minor dimension. If Yama King wanted you dead at midnight, no one would be able to keep you alive until the 5th. Dozens of incarnations and the tricks they had left behind were all captured. Finally, with a cracking sound, the cocoon split open. Thunder Extreme Source had already knelt down, transforming into a golden figure that looked like it was forged from gold. With a push of the golden light, the golden statue of Lei Yung was pushed out of the entrance of the main hall. It landed on the square and knelt there, never to rise again. However, the Thunder Extreme Source wasn't dead. He was just sealed and kneeling there. This was worse than death. Chapter 586. The token left behind by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor didn't kill Lei Jiyuan. Instead, it sealed him and made him kneel as a warning to others. He could even speak. Draped in a layer of golden shell, he knelt in the public square outside the imperial court. His eyeballs could also move, but other than speaking and moving his eyeballs, he could not do anything else. He did not have the disposition and prestige of a divine-level expert. Even a child would be able to ride on his head and pee. Without a doubt, he would kneel like this forever. There were several large words on his back. Desecrate the imperial court. Kneel here forever. Brother Fanbai, save me, Late Ji Hui shouted. Quickly break the seal on me and let me out. This is a great humiliation, a great humiliation. Fanbai from the Fan clan furrowed his brows. He was truly taken aback. Never in his wildest dreams would he have expected that the golden token left behind by the Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor would have such power. He didn't dare to act, because if he was sealed and forced to kneel here for all eternity, for the officials of the imperial court to see and for the people of the world to see, that would be a fate worse than death. All deities had dignity. They would rather die than submit. Seeing that Fanbai didn't speak, Lei Ji Hui said again, Brother Dharma Elephant Saint, come and save me. The Dharma Saint of the legalism will definitely not be afraid of Gu Taxian. Our great clans are united. Since ancient times, we have never suffered such humiliation, not even during the era of the ancient emperors. Even one of the old antiques of the school of legalism, a god-level expert, the Dharma Elephant Realm, did not dare to act recklessly. He seemed to be communicating with the Dharma Saint. Lord Warlock Saint, what's going on? He was secretly shocked and already had the intention to retreat. Far away in the Law Prefecture, on the Iron Mountain of the Legalism clan, the Dharma Saint stood there staring at everything that happened in the capital city of the Desolate Mountains. Despite his cultivation base, his countenance was extremely heavy. Even I can't unravel this law. The extreme thunder essence will have to kneel there for all eternity, suffering endless humiliation. In the elephant realm, you can't act recklessly. Our legalism clan didn't make any moves and didn't suffer any losses this time around. On the other hand, the Lei clan has lost all face. If the Heavenly Talisman Emperor could be defeated so easily, he wouldn't be known as the ancient stepping on immortals. With the guidance of the Dharma Saint, Dharma Elephant Saint didn't dare to move. He would rather die than kneel here forever. Everyone from the Lei clan, save me. At that moment, Lei Jiyuan saw that the alliance of the various families didn't dare to act rashly. He couldn't help but ask the Lei family for help. He was one of the 10 ancestors of the Lei family, so he couldn't kneel here. Rumble. As expected, the Lei clan couldn't endure such humiliation. Space was torn apart as a huge hand appeared. This hand attacked fiercely like lightning, as though it was formed from millions of lightning bolts. This hand grabbed Lei Jiyuan's kneeling body, wanting to take it away. Even if he had to kneel in the Lei clan's minor kiliacosm. He couldn't embarrass himself here. Myriad lightning world rending hand. This is another ancestor of the Lei clan, Lei Jishue. This ancestor has a powerful cultivation base and an intense killing intent. It's unknown how many devils and demons he has killed. His myriad lightning world-rending hand can shock the heavens and earth and make ghosts and gods weep. In a clan, he specializes in external battles. Also, this attack contains the power of the Lei clan's minor kiliacosm. Many experts could see it. The Lei clan's most explosive Lei Jishue had used the power of his minor kiliacosm to descend here, wanting to take away the extreme lightning world-rending hand. The huge hand formed from millions of lightning bolts attacked fiercely. But just as it touched the kneeling statue of extreme lightning world-rending hand, countless threads suddenly appeared on the statue. These threads wrapped around the hand and seeped into the void. Don't! A panicked voice came from a void. As the golden threads pulled, everyone saw a person being fished out of the void. This person wore a blood-colored robe and had a long beard. His eyes were blood red, and his complexion was like a date. Even his hair was red. It was unknown how many lives he had killed to become like this. Even the most ferocious person would tremble in fear when they saw this person. This burly man in blood-colored robes was another ancestor of the Lei clan, Lei Jishue. Lei Jishue wanted to take away Lei Jihue, but unfortunately, he also profaned the heavenly talisman Great Emperor's Seal. He was also captured by the golden threads and pulled out of the minor kiliacosm. Even if Lei Jishue hid in the minor kiliacosm, he couldn't escape the fate of being sealed. Moreover, all of Lei Jishue's clones and the methods he left behind were all captured. Not a single one could escape. This was the saying that heaven's net has long arms, but nothing escapes. This was truly a terrifying seal. Lei Jishue's roar was even louder than Lei Jihue's, causing the clouds in the sky to shatter. Unfortunately, it was useless. The golden threads had no emotions. They simply wrapped around him, turning him into a cocoon. After wriggling for a long time, they seeped into his body. Rumble. Lei Jishue also turned into a golden statue, kneeling in the public square alongside Lei Jihue. He could make sounds, but he didn't have any innate abilities or magic power. Ordinary people could also go up and slap him or spit on him. The two deity realm experts of the Lei clan were instantly imprisoned and forced to kneel. Moreover, they would be forced to kneel here forever. This was the cruelest and most humiliating punishment. Even killing them directly wouldn't be as cruel as this. A gust of cold wind blew past. Everyone in the imperial court, except for the celestial pacification department, felt a chill on their necks. They saw Lei Jishue and Lei Jiyuan kneeling outside and shouting. These two famous deity realm experts had existed for more than 1,000 years. They were existences that controlled the lives of the people and created the world. Now, they were experiencing humiliation. They could neither live nor die. Even those who were loyal to the imperial court felt the majesty of the emperor. In these years, the crown prince Gu Xinsha didn't do anything and try to smooth things over. As the imperial concubine Ming, Wu Dangkong brought disaster to the country and the people. Although the imperial court had the support of the celestial pacification department, and the people were developing and prospering, the prestige and laws of the imperial court gradually lost some respect because of the relationship between the crown prince and Wu Dangkong. In the long run, it wouldn't be a good thing. Good and evil were not rewarded, and crimes were not punished. People's morale was low. Wu Dangkong and the crown prince held high positions in the imperial court, yet they didn't get punished for their crimes. The officials were indeed upset. They were all hoping for the heavenly talisman emperor to appear. Now, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's golden medallion finally showed its might. It directly captured two deity realm experts and made them kneel in front of the palace. This really boosted the morale of the imperial court. At first, they were filled with respect. After that, some governors and officials felt their eyes brimming with tears. "Your Majesty, you've finally shown your might." An old official from the Ministry of Rights knelt on the ground and kowtowed to the golden medallion on the throne. In the current imperial court, the crown prince is useless. The concubine is disrupting the imperial court. The devil calamity is coming, and the aristocratic families are pressuring us. The imperial court is on the brink of collapse. I implore your Majesty to appear and cleanse the imperial court. I implore your Majesty to appear and cleanse the imperial court. At this time, many officials also knelt and begged. In the end, tens of thousands of officials in the imperial court kowtowed in front of the golden medallion like a landslide or a tsunami. However, there was no movement from the golden medallion. The deity realm experts of the aristocratic families exchanged glances. They didn't know whether to advance or retreat. Officials. Lu Baiwe stood up at this time. His Majesty is in seclusion. There must be something more important. Moreover, the current situation has not reached a point of no return. Why should we disturb His Majesty? Moreover, when His Majesty rewarded me with the golden medallion, he said that we, the officials of the imperial court, must be independent and strong. Even without His Majesty, we must be able to resist the devil calamity and make the world strong. If we rely on His Majesty for everything, then what difference is there between us and children? His Majesty's seclusion is actually a test for us. He wants us to have the strength to be independent. That is exactly what His Majesty means. Officials, please rise. Marquis Dashi also spoke up. We are holding this meeting in the imperial court to understand His Majesty's intentions. Many officials also rose to their feet when they heard this. Wu Dangkong paled at the sight of this situation. She trembled with anger, but there was nothing she could do. Fortunately, she hadn't listened to the aristocratic families and taken out the heaven sacrifice decree to ascend the throne. Otherwise, she was afraid that her fate would be similar to the lightning source and lightning blood. Damn it, the Heaven Talisman Emperor left so many tricks. These aristocratic families supported me to ascend the throne because they wanted to use me to test the Heaven Talisman Emperor's bottom line. If I really ascended the throne, I'm afraid that a cruel scene would appear. These aristocratic families would also find a chance to seize my heaven sacrifice decree. At this time, Wu Dangkong hated the aristocratic families to the bone. Second brother, Crown Prince. Gu Chunsha said to Gu Xiansha, "You are the Crown Prince appointed by Imperial Father. The Tranquil Immortal Department cannot depose you. However, what you have done today has disappointed all the officials. You have seen Wu Dongkong's behavior. She actually colluded with the aristocratic families to ascend the throne and become the emperor. This is no different from treason. Yet, you still support Wu Dangkong. What are you thinking? Are you going to continue being the crown prince after he ascends the throne?" 19th brother, you misunderstand me. Gu Xiansha hurriedly corrected himself. I'm not supporting Wu Dangkong. However, concubine Ming is also our elder. His Majesty personally appointed her to be the regent. This is also the emperor's imperial decree. Your tranquil immortal department publicly forced her to abdicate the throne. Is this the etiquette of an official? This is also overthrowing the emperor's imperial decree. This is disgraceful. As a crown prince, I naturally have to uphold some justice. Gu Xuansha's tone was a bit soft at first, but then it became unreasonable. Chapter 587. Lu Baiwe, how dare you slander me, saying that I'm plotting a rebellion? From the beginning to the end, I only said to dissolve the calming immortal department. Wu Dongkong's gaze suddenly shifted. It was the deity realm experts from the Thunder Extreme Source clan who used me as a shield to sow discord in the imperial court. Everyone here has seen it. If I'm really plotting a rebellion, why didn't your Majesty imprison me? Why did you only imprison the Thunder Extreme Source and Thunder Extreme Blood? As she spoke, Wu Dangkong kowtowed repeatedly to the golden medallion on the throne. She sobbed and said, "Your Majesty, please understand. Your concubine has always been loyal to the country and the people. If your Majesty feels that I didn't do well, your concubine is willing to step down. Your Majesty, please reveal the supernatural. If your Majesty feels that I can still be the regent, then everything will remain the same." After she kowtowed a few more times, the golden medallion no longer emitted any light. Only then did Wu Dangkong turn around and say fiercely, "Did all of you see it? Your Majesty has no intention of blaming me. Could it be that you want to abolish me in the imperial court? Are you still my concubine?" None of the concubines said anything. Indeed, although these concubines had pledged allegiance to the calming immortal department, they still respected the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Since the Heavenly Talisman Emperor didn't punish Wu Dangkong, there must be a deeper meaning behind this. Enough. At this time, Gu Huansha, who represented the Heavenly Designer Department, stood up. The purpose of this imperial court meeting is very simple. It's not for internal strife, but to strengthen unity and win over the hearts of the people. Then we can fight against the devil calamity and strengthen ourselves amidst the calamity. If there's internal strife, the only thing we'll lose is our own strength. What does royal sister mean? Why don't you tell me? Gu Chunsha wasn't in a hurry. He wanted to see what Gu Huansha's attitude was. After all, Gu Huansha represented the immortal lord. Other than that, the fact that she controlled the Heavenly Designer Institute was also the will of the Heavenly Talisman Immortal Emperor. There were many details that even Gu Chunsha couldn't understand. Hence, he exchanged glances with Liu Baiwei and the Fourth before they started to negotiate with Gu Huansha. This time, he was going to suppress the ancient black sand and Wu Dangkong by force. But he didn't expect that the well-known families in the world would form an alliance so quickly to support Wu Dangkong. This should be the means of the Dharma Saint. Some of the Dharma Saint's methods were far above his. This was for sure. If the many saints and true deity clans of the world joined forces, if they really rebelled, coupled with the devil calamity and the immortal Tao, the world would immediately be thrown into chaos. Not even the calming immortal department would be able to suppress it. Luckily, the golden token left behind by the Heavenly Talisman Immortal Emperor suddenly unleashed its might, sealing the lightning origin and lightning blood. This instantly dispelled some of the aristocratic clan's thoughts. They no longer dared to act recklessly. However, the Heavenly Talisman Immortal Emperor didn't purge them further, and no one knew what his intentions were. As far as Gu Chunsha was concerned, all the members of these clans were arrogant and conceited, and they looked down upon the commoners of the world. They were simply existences that were like tumors to the entire world, and it was best to eliminate them so that the meridians of the world would be unobstructed and circulate as one pleased. The world was one person, and one person was also the world. The development of the world was the cultivation of the people. Gu Chunsha's current comprehension had already reached a very deep level. Naturally, the Heavenly Talisman Immortal Emperor's vision was much deeper than his. Or perhaps he had handed the task of eradicating the aristocratic clans to him instead of doing it himself. Right now, the imperial court is in a delicate balance. If we force Wu Dangkong out of the imperial court, she would cause chaos among the common people. Many aristocratic clans might even support her in rebellion. That would be difficult to deal with. Gu Chunsha pondered. Royal brother, after your calmness immortal division has passed this tribulation, it seems that as long as there's a great opportunity, the common people's wish sphere will be able to evolve into a medium-level world. At that time, it would be like a spring breeze, awing the common people and the bureaucracy. Wouldn't that be better than cleansing the imperial court? Gu Huansha asked. Our calmness immortal division is only dissolving the sun and moon division, the Hongyun Games, the National Fortune Party, and the Human Dragon Association. Liu Baiwei spoke. Does the Heavenly Designer Institute feel that this is inappropriate? Our heavenly designer institute approves of this matter. The Sun and Moon division is indeed unnecessary. It's an organization that eliminates all dissidents. To think that it's called the Sun and Moon division. What a joke. Gu Huansha agreed. Everyone in the Sun and Moon division is a traitorous, vicious, and wicked person. For example, that Thunder Polarity Essence is a guest elder of the Sun and Moon division. Isn't that a joke? His Majesty personally suppressed him, forcing him to kneel at the entrance of the Sun and Moon division for all eternity. Concubine Ming, what do you say? Fine. Wu Dangkong trembled with anger, but she quickly calmed down. The Sun and Moon division was established by her to eliminate dissidents. She was prepared to destroy the Calmness Immortal division and then carry out a great purge of all the officials in the world. She could even throw the aristocratic families into chaos. First, she allowed the experts of the aristocratic families to become guest elders. Then, she naturally had a way to make them betray the aristocratic families. She could use the position of a true god as a lure. But now, the situation was completely out of her control. Once the Sun and Moon division was disbanded, she would lose her claws and teeth. She would have no one she could use. She would truly be a puppet. And that was not all. The Calmness Immortal division also wanted to disband the Clearsky Chamber of Commerce, the Hongyun Games, and the National Fortune Party. This was the same as forcing her, Gu Xinsha, and Gu Tanjian into a dead end. But now, the three of them seem to have lost the ability to retaliate. Now that the heavenly talisman Great Thuarch had revealed his prowess, the mighty miracle god behind Gu Shanjian definitely wouldn't come out. With his strength alone, he was still too inexperienced to deal with the tranquil immortal department. The three holy masters behind the crown prince, Gu Xinsha, would not come out. Faced with the coercion of the tranquil immortal department, it seemed like they could only allow themselves to be slaughtered. I am willing to disband the National Fate Party. At this time, Gu Tanjian walked out, seemingly admitting defeat. Originally, I established the National Fortune Party for the sake of the destiny of the country. However, since the Celestial Pacification Department feels that my National Fortune Party is bringing disaster to the country and its people, then I have nothing to say. I will not refute it and will disband it immediately. Very well. Gu Qinsha did not stand on ceremony. Where's the Iron Blood Marquis? Your subordinate is here. The Iron Blood Marquis stood up. At this moment, he no longer had any doubts about the calming immortal department. This was because from the feedback from the imperial court, the emperor supported the calming immortal department. The Iron Blood Guard will immediately arrest all the core members of the National Fate Society, the Hongyun Games, and the Clearsky Chamber of Commerce. Detain them all. I will have the disciples of the calming immortal department assist in this matter. We will get rid of these black sheep, Gu Qinsha suddenly said. Those who have committed the most heinous crimes and embezzled the national treasury must be strictly investigated and punished. We will hold a public hearing to announce their crimes to the world. We will investigate each and every one of them and kill them one by one. When he said these words in the imperial court, his killing intent soared. He did not give any face to Wu Dangkong, Gu Tanjian, or the ancient mystic Sand. Iron Blood Marquis, how dare you? Wu Dangkong's voice was sharp. Gu Tanjian introduced the National Fortune Party himself, but that is his business. It has nothing to do with me. My Clearsky Chamber of Commerce has been operating the national treasury for many years and has made many contributions. If I did not use the savings in the national treasury to do business, the national treasury would not have been able to last until now. Your Highness, are you criticizing the emperor? Are you implying that the emperor has handed over an empty national treasury to you? I remember that before the emperor went into seclusion, the national treasury was extremely large. Who knows how much it has shrunk now? Minister of Revenue? Tell me about the situation. The fourth Gu Huasha said. The Minister of Revenue was an old man who was around 80 years old. He had sharp eyes and ears and was extremely fit. He was actually at the Tao Realm 10 transformations, able to do 1,000 things at once. The Minister of Revenue had an important position and was the gatekeeper of the national treasury. He was much more important than the governor. This minister of revenue was called Qian Hao, and he was from Qian State's Qian family. The Qian family wasn't a saint or true god family, but they had a god realm expert. Moreover, treasure-gathering Marquis was also from the Qian family. The current Qian family head, Qian Sadeo, was a god realm expert. However, he focused on business and money. He had once helped Heaven Talisman Emperor build banks and banks. Heaven Talisman Emperor admired many of his economic theories. The Qian family didn't participate in the battles of the imperial court, and they were kind and generous. Treasure-gathering Marquis didn't control the national treasury, but the royal family treasury. This inner treasury was firmly in the hands of the Jubao Marquis. Even Wu Dangkong couldn't get his hands on it. There were many good things inside the inner treasury. Wu Dangkong had always wanted to control it, but unfortunately, the Qian family wasn't easy to deal with. Moreover, she wasn't the only concubine in the harem. There were many other concubines and concubines. If he touched the treasury, it would be the same as touching their private stash. Wu Dangkong didn't have the ability to do so. Qian Hao said, "Fourth Prince, it is true that the Ministry of Revenue controls the national treasury, but during these few years, concubine Ming has been managing it. I have an account book here that contains the records of Heavenly Talisman for the past 27 years. Every year, the national treasury's accounts decrease by a lot. Large amounts of medicinal pills, gold, jewelry, materials, minerals, and all sorts of other wealth are transferred to the Clearski Merchant Guild. They say that it's for them to operate, and that they can't just let the national treasury's wealth sit idle. They need money to make more money. But the Clearski Merchant Guild accounts show that they suffer losses every year. I really don't understand. I have always wanted to find a chance to ask concubine Ming why." Wu Dangkong refused to admit his mistake. "Qian Hao, you dare to question my decision and openly challenge me in the imperial court today? Do you still want to be the Minister of Revenue? Please tell me, concubine Ming, why does Mingkong Merchant Association suffer losses every year and cause the treasury to suffer losses as well?" Qian Hao is unmoved. This old subject has been managing the treasury for His Majesty since before the Emperor seized the world. There is no other way to explain it other than to line one's own pockets. Is that so? It seems that you are colluding with the coming Immortal Bureau to harm this concubine. Wu Dangkong always had an excuse. Why does Mingkong Merchant Association suffer losses every year? It's very simple. It's all because the coming Immortal Bureau is suppressing our merchant association and plotting against us. In reality, it's the coming Immortal Bureau that's embezzling the treasury. Even if this lawsuit goes to His Majesty, I will say the same. Chapter 588. Liu Baiwen nodded and said in front of all the officials, "Let's do it this way. After we seize the Clearski Chamber of Commerce, the National Fortune Party, and the Hongyun Games, we will transfer all the wealth from these businesses into the national treasury. In addition, the Calming Deities Department will also take out a portion to replenish the national treasury. This way, the national treasury will be full, and we will be able to pay the officials, the soldiers, the disaster relief, and the local constructions. In the future, the allocation of money and resources in the national treasury will not need to go through the study. I will be the one to sign it. In addition, arrest all the supervisors in the national treasury and investigate them to see if they have colluded with the Clearski Chamber of Commerce to steal from the national treasury. Those who deserve to be killed will be killed, and those who deserve to be locked up will be locked up. This old official understands." Qian Hao nodded. This was something that had been discussed with the Calming Deities Department. "This isn't appropriate, right?" At this moment, Gu Huansha spoke up. "The allocation system of the National Treasury is a system where the officials report the amount of money and resources needed level by level and gather them at the Ministry of Revenue. The Ministry of Revenue can approve how much is less than what it needs and how much is more than what it needs. This has to be discussed in the study together, and then the regent will approve on behalf of the emperor before the allocation can be made. This is the system that the emperor set up. Isn't the calming deities department depriving the study of its functions? Acting arbitrarily seems to go against the emperor's original intention of governing the country. Royal sister, you're wrong. Gu Qinsha said, this is a critical period. The devil disaster has erupted, and the world is wreaking havoc. If we follow the old rules and approve everything level by level, won't we be delaying the important matters? Imperial Father also has an emergency wartime policy, and everything should be simple and fast. Everyone has seen the efficiency of the calming deities department, and it is in line with wartime strategies. After the devil disaster, everything will naturally return to the original system. Does Royal Sister think that the calming deities department will follow the Clearsky Chamber of Commerce and covet the national treasury? A system is a system. It's not a matter of greed. Gu Huansha waved her hand. The calming deities department has the wish tree, and it can produce almost all kinds of pills, treasures, and weapons. It will only provide blood to the national treasury. But if this happens, the calming deities department will monopolize power, and the upper echelons of the country will collapse. What will happen to the officials in the study? There are many things to do in the upper study. The allocation of the national treasury is only one of them. The fourth spoke up. Right now, the calming immortal department is merely streamlining its structure to increase the efficiency of the imperial court's operations. However, in the transfer of resources to the national treasury, the Celestial Designer Institute will also need to provide a portion of our resources. In addition, the various aristocratic families, in order to make amends for their mistakes, will also need to hand over their accumulated medicinal pills and wealth to the national treasury for disaster relief and construction purposes. What do you think? As soon as the fourth opened his mouth, Gu Chansha secretly praised in his heart. Making use of the remnant might of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's golden medallion to intimidate these aristocratic families, causing them to bleed profusely and replenish their coffers. Gu Qinshan knew that if the devil calamity broke out, countless people would die. At that time, there would definitely not be enough resources. Even if the calming immortal department's wish trees grew quickly, they would not be able to make ends meet. One had to know that the Tree of Wishes produced armors, weapons, pills, and all sorts of treasures. It was a waste of time and yuan qi. If the production was increased, the accumulation of the sphere would decrease, causing the advancement of the sphere to slow down. This was not worth it. Moreover, with the current output of the Tree of Wishes, it was impossible to satisfy the needs of billions of people in the world. Moreover, the population would only increase in the future. If the first wave of the devil calamity didn't wipe out the calming immortal department, then the calming immortal department would have absolute confidence that it would continue to grow. As long as it rose to become a dimensional realm, even the three Empyreans would have to think twice. This was because if they wanted to destroy a dimensional realm, they would have to withstand a final counterattack before they died. If a dimensional realm were to self-destruct, then even the three Empyreans would have to dread it. After becoming a dimensional realm, it wouldn't be invincible, but it wouldn't be easy to exterminate it either. Our Celestial Designer Institute can provide resources. My Imperial Father originally wanted me to control the Celestial Designer Institute in order to deal with the demon calamity. To support the world and the Imperial Court is the Celestial Designer Institute's duty. Gu Huansha said, but for a newly established organization, our Celestial Designer Institute will also need someone to oversee it. Is that too much? That's natural. As long as the Celestial Designer Institute provides resources, we can send someone over. Lu Baiwa nodded. She gave Gu Chunsha a meaningful look. Gu Chunsha naturally understood. He turned around and said to the deity realm old ancestor of the Fan family, Fan Bai, since His Imperial Majesty did not pursue the matter today, he only punished the two people from the Lei family. He didn't kill them, just punished them to kneel at the entrance of the Imperial Court. Perhaps in the future, if the Lei family redeems themselves in the devil calamity, they can be restored. This time, The Fan family must provide all kinds of wealth to help the imperial court fight against the demon calamity. This is a donation. What do you think? Gu Qinsha began to pressure the aristocratic families. If the aristocratic families that were present today didn't bleed, then it would be too easy on them. What? As the number one old ancestor of the Fan family, Fanbai naturally wouldn't give in so easily. He had already calmed down from the initial shock. His Imperial Majesty didn't punish us, and we didn't do anything wrong. Is the calming immortal department trying to extort us sages and true god aristocratic families? Among the aristocratic families present today were Fanbai, Dharma Elephant Realm, Wu Pagong, Hong Blazing Pavilion, Yun Feishi, Wen Shidan, Jun Wanshou, and Extreme Thunder Origin, who was kneeling outside. They were the Fan family, the Legalist family, the Wu family, the Hong family, the Yun family, the Wen family, the military family, and the Lei family. These families were either sage aristocratic families or true god aristocratic families. They practically controlled 80% of the world's strength. Apart from these sage aristocratic families, there were also many second-rate aristocratic families. Among these second-rate aristocratic families, there were deity realm experts, such as the Qian family and a few other families. Of course, these second-rate aristocratic families didn't have minor chiliocosms. Their foundations were very shallow, so they didn't dare to get involved in the struggle of the imperial court this time. Of course, there were a few true god aristocratic families and sage aristocratic families that didn't come. They were all quietly observing the situation. For example, Nongsheng's family and a few other ancient aristocratic families. These aristocratic families usually didn't fight. Instead, they would play it safe. Gu Qinsha also didn't want to provoke these people. However, the world situation would only get more intense in the future. Perhaps these ancient aristocratic families would also appear. If Gu Qinsha had any plans for the future, he would suppress these sage aristocratic families and true god aristocratic families that jumped out and make them bleed. If he allowed these sage aristocratic families to retreat unscathed, then everything the Calmness Immortal Department had done would be for naught. They wouldn't be able to ruthlessly intimidate these fellows with ulterior motives. These sage aristocratic families were trying to force the emperor to abdicate in the imperial court, endangering the country. The Calmness Immortal Department definitely couldn't ignore this. Of course, these aristocratic families definitely wouldn't compromise. They seem to have discovered some bottom line of the heavenly talisman Great Emperor. As long as they didn't cause too much trouble, some of the methods left behind by the heavenly talisman Great Emperor wouldn't be used. Otherwise, Wu Dankong would have long been imprisoned to death. Extortion. Gu Qinsha's gaze swept over them one by one. This term is really used to invert right and wrong. Fanbai, I can't believe you actually said it. In that case, it seems that you aren't willing to donate to the National Treasury. Instead, you want our Calmness Immortal Department to fine you? This is really a case of refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Your Calmness Immortal Department specializes in collecting taxes from the Immortal Tao. The Dharma Image Immortal said fiercely, "You actually want our aristocratic families to pay a fine this time? That's practically unheard of." It's not bad that the Calmness Immortal Department has some strength, but don't be too arrogant. Killing intent flashed in Jun Wanshou's eyes. This time, our aristocratic families came to the imperial court to uphold the law. Even though the Extreme Thunder Origin was somewhat inappropriate, it was still punished. Your Calmness Immortal Department still wants to take a yard after being given an inch. That's too much. Don't forget, you're also a junior. You're just relying on that minor chiliocosm. We have the same minor chiliocosm as well. If your Calmness Immortal Department wants to humiliate our aristocratic families, then let's fight to the death. What do you mean, fight to the death? Wu Pagong said, "You think too highly of the Calmness Immortal Department. Lord Dharma Saint has already returned, and our aristocratic families respect legalism. In the end, your Calmness Immortal Department is just a group of juniors. If we want to leave now, we can come and go as we please. Can your Calmness Immortal Department stop us?" Unless your calmness immortal department dares to attack our families and arrest us all, my grand ardent pavilion will be the first to not believe that the calmness immortal department has such strength. The grand ardent pavilion didn't seem to want to tangle with the calmness immortal department here. This time, their Hong family didn't get the upper hand. Originally, they wanted to use the matter of Wu Dangkong to make the calmness immortal department fight with Wu Dangkong, then support the 18th prince, Gu Hongsha, to ascend to the throne and obtain authority to manage the Hong family. The Hong family was the orthodoxy of the ancient Black Emperor. The ancient Black Emperor was the water god. He had also obtained the position of a true god. Unfortunately, he had been sealed and couldn't pass down any divine decrees. Brother Lai Xian, you don't have to leave now. The Dharma image realm seemed to have received some kind of guidance from the Dharma saint. He hurriedly said, "There's still a good show to watch in the imperial court today. Our aristocratic families have also invested in the Clear Sky Chamber of Commerce. I want to see how the Calmness Immortal Department is going to confiscate our businesses. Dharma image realm, you have received guidance from the Dharma saint, right?" Gu Chunsha was perceptive and immediately saw through the trick. "It seems like you haven't learned your lesson from the Lei family's fate. To think that you still want to interfere in the imperial court's affairs. Back then, when the Jing family was in chaos, Jing Qiu contacted you everywhere. Your shadow was also involved. The Calmness Immortal Department's investigation has conclusive evidence." Chapter 589. Marquis Dashi, you're dreaming. The Dharma Elephant Realm had confidence. He had the backing of the Dharma Saint. Not only that, the Lei clan was slowly probing the bottom line left behind by the Heavenly Talisman Heavenly Sovereign. As long as they didn't cross that bottom line, they wouldn't trigger the forbidden art of the Heavenly Talisman Heavenly Sovereign, and they would be safe. This time, all the aristocratic clans are of one mind. We will make a few requests to the royal court. Otherwise, don't blame us aristocratic clans for not getting involved. It doesn't matter how strong the Devil Bane is, it can't shake the foundations of our aristocratic clans. The same goes for the imperial court. There are more than 10 billion commoners, and 99% of them are mortals below the Tao realm. Right now, there are probably no more than 100 million people who can step into the Tao realm. In my opinion, if we don't include the aristocratic families, I'm afraid we don't have any. How are we going to deal with the devil disaster? I heard that the Great Wei Dynasty's Black Yellow Dragon Emperor has great ambitions and has already cultivated to the peak of the 36 transformations. He is at the embodiment transformation realm and is only a step away from breaking through to the realm beyond the 3 realms, beyond the 5 elements, and becoming a heavenly lord, a heavenly lord. Wu Pagong cooperated with the Dharma image realm and said, "He seems to want to take over the divine prefecture. I think the imperial court will not be able to deal with him without the help of us aristocratic families." The number of people in the world, including the overseas countries, the Yonko-S household registration number was over 10 billion. If they followed the birth policy of the Calming Immortal Department, in another 3 to 5 years, the population would more than double. It had to be known that in order to obtain the Sky Dew pills of the Calming Immortal Department, every household was giving birth without restraint. Some families gave birth to 7 or 8 children, while others gave birth to more than 10 children. After taking the Sky Dew pill, both adults and children would basically be strong and healthy. They would not suffer from any illnesses or disasters. Their vitality would be replenished, and they would make rapid progress in their martial arts and studies. But Gu Qinshan knew that although the world had developed quickly and the population had exploded, there were still very few Tao Realm experts. When he first made his debut, in the 14th year of the Heavenly Talisman, he arrived at Bannan Province in Xian Province. The guards of the provincial governor were only 2 martial arts grandmasters of the mortal realm. There was no way he could hire Tao Realm experts. If the disciples of the aristocratic families were not included, the number of Tao Realm experts that could be recorded in Yonko was pitifully low. There might not even be 10,000 of them. And now, there were already more than 10 million of them. Only 13 years had passed. What did a Tao realm expert mean? This meant that he could absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth on his own without needing to replenish it. Furthermore, he could climb over mountains as if he was walking on flat ground. Back then, when the Black Demon Bat assassinated Gu Qinsha and Liu Baiwei, it was only at the second transformation of Tao Realm, and it was able to step on the waves of the dangerous Stone State Canyon. In the end, it was like an ape that jumped up the cliff and escaped. Once a person reached the Tao Realm, their mobility, agility, poison resistance, and various other physical abilities would undergo a qualitative transformation. Even if they encountered a demon disaster, their ability to deal with demons would also greatly increase. In the demon disaster, most of them were ordinary demons who hadn't reached Tao Realm. Normally speaking, after a demon disaster broke out, the higher-level powers would threaten one another while the commoners and the demons would kill one another. Of course, there were times when the higher-level powers would attack one another and kill the lower-level ones. But that would cause the situation to go out of control and cause chaos. The world would collapse, and everything would be swept away. When that happened, there was a high chance that the higher-level powers of both sides would fall. This was why at the start of the war, both sides would probe each other and wouldn't go all out. Of course, as they probed each other, they would go all out. In the end, the world would collapse, and the divine continent would definitely sink. What Gu Qinsha wanted to do now was to grab the chance and use the first few years of the demon disaster to not let the world fall. Instead, he wanted the world to grow stronger through the war. However, with just the strength of the Celestial Commerce Department alone, it would be hard to support the situation. If the aristocratic families worked together, then it would be perfect. If they interfered, then there would be many calamities. The god-grade antiques of the aristocratic families seemed to know the situation of the world and used this to restrict the imperial court and the Celestial Commerce Department. Today, our aristocratic families will still work together. Jun Wancho said coldly. We will also propose a few rules to the imperial court. First, we will still protect the Yonko Emperor, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Second, the imperial court will have to give us preferential treatment. Your Celestial Commerce Department has the dragon nurturing and dragon creation arts. If you give them to us, we will give you some resources. Third, the Clear Skies Merchant Guild, the National Fortune Party, and the Honyun Games all have shares in them. You can't confiscate them. The Sun Moon Division also has disciples from our aristocratic families in it. You can't arrest or abolish them. Everything will continue as before. Our aristocratic families and the Celestial Commerce Department will not interfere with each other for now. You can fight against the demons while we expand our strength. That's right. That's right. Fanbai nodded. The bow in his hand spun in the air. Gu Qinsha, you're just a junior. How dare you be so arrogant? If you become a god-grade saint, or even a sage, will there be any way for us aristocratic families to survive? You know how powerful the bow and arrows in my hands are. If we really fight to the death, even if you hide in a minor kiliacosm, I have ways to make you suffer a fate worse than death. So many aristocratic families will join forces today. With the Warlock Saint as the leader, we will establish a new world alliance. This saint will only be the founder. At this time, a leisurely voice rang out. It was the Dharma Saint's voice. When everyone heard it, they thought it was a golden decree. The Heaven Alliance will still be led by the owner of the heavenly sacrificial talisman. Concubine Wu Dangkong is the most suitable candidate. Yes, Lord Dharma Saint. Immediately, all the aristocratic family's experts, including F.A. Wuxian, bowed respectfully. The Black Heaven Earth sect will also join the Heaven Alliance, Xian said. The Nine Swords Mystical sect will also join. Another Tao Realm Transformation 25 Undying Body expert, who was hidden among Wu Dongkong's group of 100 guards, spoke up. The Red Cloud sect will also join. At this moment, another God-grade expert stood out. This God-grade expert hid himself really well. He looked like a normal guard, but now that he appeared, his aura was really domineering and domineering. The Red Cloud sect's Xiao Donglai. This person hasn't appeared in the world for 1,000 years. Instantly, someone recognized his face. Very good. The Black Heaven Earth sect, Red Cloud sect, and Nine Swords mystical sect are also going against the Imperial Court? Gu Chunsha looked at these deity-level experts without the slightest hint of fear, especially the Crimson Firmament sect. I've received news that they're taking advantage of the Devil Calamity's eruption to gather a bunch of rabble. Taoist Tranquility and the rest of them. Why? Why aren't you attacking anymore? Also, Dharma Saint, after you woke up, you started the spirit demon plan. You want to wipe out the human race. You're not fit to be called a human saint. Is that so? Junior. The Warlock Saint's mocking voice could be heard. Interesting. Young man, you're like a newborn calf that is not afraid of a tiger. I will not argue with you. When Gutaxian comes out from his seclusion, I will talk to him. Junior, ruling the world requires compromise. Even Gutaxian signed an agreement with the aristocratic families. All of you don't have much strength, but you have all learned how to be lawless. Dharma Saint, you are an ancient saint who created the true essence of the law. Even the ancient emperors are respectful to you and listen to your reasoning with the many saints. These juniors don't know your prestige and are so disrespectful. This is indeed a sign of the collapse of etiquette. At this moment, the Red Cloud sect's God-grade expert, Xiao Donglai, cupped his fists towards the sky. Leave it to us to teach these juniors a lesson. Very well. The Dharma Saint's voice was heard. It was only one word, and then there was no more sound. As he spoke, Xiao Donglai suddenly looked at Gu Qinsha. You killed 2 of my Red Cloud sect's elders in the demon domain. How are you going to repay this debt of blood? How awe-inspiring. The Imperial Court is our Gu clan's domain. Your first attempt to force the Emperor to abdicate the throne failed, and now you want to try a second time? The 4th brother said, It looks like there should be a few more people kneeling in the plaza. As a prince, you can't kill the innocent and treat human life like grass. Wudong Kong said, Even the Emperor didn't kill Elder Wang Ji of the Crimson Firmament Profound Sect. He only let him do good deeds. They entered the devil's domain to kill devils, but you actually killed them for your own selfishness, stole their treasures, and cultivated demonic arts. And you speak so righteously. In the Imperial Court, I naturally have to uphold justice. Wu Dangkong trembled again. Gu Qinsha ignored Wu Dangkong and looked at Xiao Donglai. What does the Red Cloud sect want to do? It's simple. Abolish everything you have and imprison you. Like the Thunder Source, you will forever kneel in front of the Red Cloud sect. Xiao Donglai was full of murderous intent. Ah! Gu Qinsha suddenly laughed out loud. Many aristocratic families and 2 or 3 sects have formed this so-called World Alliance. This is the Warlock Saints Alliance. You actually dared to threaten and kill us in the Imperial Court. Even if the Lei family suffered a loss, you still don't remember. Do you still want to test the Emperor's bottom line? Nonsense. You're a junior with a shallow cultivation. How dare you shout in front of us, God-level experts? Do you really think you can control the situation? Xiao Donglai seemed to want to attack. Liu Baiyue suddenly said, Today, all of you from the aristocratic families cannot leave. You have committed a serious crime by shouting at the Imperial Court. As for the profound Crimson Cloud Gate, there is no need for it to exist anymore. Funny. Xiao Donglai almost laughed. I don't understand. What gives the Calmness Celestial Department the right to be so arrogant? Let me tell you why. Gu Chunsha suddenly pointed with a finger. Rumble. Chapter 590. Boundless space-time tore apart, revealing the true form of the life's wish sphere. The sphere suddenly expanded thousands of times, sucking in countless space-time turbulence. A voice rang out from within the space-time turbulence. It was as though the entire divine continent, even the wilderness and the 4 seas, could hear the voice. The voice was majestic and grand, as if it was announcing something to all the worlds. A medium-class world was born. Just by relying on this, our common people's wish sphere has already risen to become a dimensional realm. Gu Chinch's voice rumbled like thunder in the court, echoing everywhere. So what if you're a legalist? So what if the Dharma Saint is back? All Dharma realms are still minor kiliocosms. Only 1,000 minor kiliocosms are equivalent to a medium-class world. I've finally become a medium-class world. Lu Baiwa looked up at the sky. All the magic power in her body was boiling. Wave after wave of power rushed towards her. At the same time, all kinds of high-level secrets from the endless dimensional worlds came to her one after another. Her cultivation base was about to advance again. The birth of a medium-class world was a miracle. Think about it. With the Dharma Saint's cultivation and the legalist's 7,000 or 8,000 years of accumulation, it still couldn't become a medium-class world. Even if the Dharma Saint returned, it would be difficult to advance. And the sphere had finally refined the martial emperor's heart of divergent, turning him into a true divergent, one that contained the fortune of heaven and earth. The martial emperor was extremely powerful. He used to be a supreme powerhouse of the 36 incarnations. After his resurrection, he became even more powerful, comprehending the divergent. Unfortunately, he met Gu Chansha, who cultivated the heavenly Tao. He was restrained in every way, and in the end, even his body was refined. But the martial emperor might not be completely destroyed. He had too many tricks up his sleeve. However, the heart of a divergent had been refined by Gu Chansha. Even if a martial emperor were to come back to life, his cultivation would only be at the level of 20 transformations. It would be extremely difficult for him to cultivate to the deity level. He would not be a match for Jingxianxi. As time went by, the sphere of the common people's wish had turned into a dimensional realm, and the martial emperor had to start all over again. As this happened, the martial emperor could only look up. Reality was cruel. The martial emperor could no longer make a comeback. A dimensional realm. Xiao Donglai stared at the sky. In the depths of the space-time turbulence, the common people's wish sphere appeared. It was domineering and seemed to be able to swallow the heavens. Any space-time turbulence that got close to it was absorbed. This sphere suppressed a space-time storm, and it seemed like a new space was about to be born. This was the might of a dimensional realm. A microscopic world couldn't be compared to a minor world, and a minor world couldn't be compared to a dimensional world. The storm of the world continued to sweep and spread out. Among the immortal Tao aristocratic families, only the ancient heavenly heaven-earth sect had a dimensional realm as a sole seed. But now, these people from the Celestial Calmness Department, who weren't even gods, had actually created a medium-grade world. More importantly, even though the creator of the Black Heaven-Earth sect's dimensional realm had already perished, it was a group of juniors who controlled the realm now. Unless one was the creator of the world, it would be very difficult to draw upon the full power of the world. The instincts of the world would not be completely under their control. In other words, the current Black Heaven-Earth sect leader couldn't even use half of the sect's power. As for the rest, the world itself needed to store it for its own advancement. Regardless of whether it was a microscopic world, a minor world, or a dimensional realm, the creator could use all of the world's power. Most importantly, the moment the world ascended, the creator would receive the blessing of the world's advancement. Gu Qinsha was the main creator of the common people's wish sphere. Everyone else was secondary, so when the sphere ascended to a dimensional realm, he would benefit the most. First, a brilliant rainbow light blessed him, and his spirit force skyrocketed. He could now do 10,000 things at once, and now he could do 100 million things at once. In the past, Zhuge Lord of 7 Stars had only been able to do 1 million things at once, which was already shocking. But now Gu Chansha could do 100 million things at once. What's more, the power of the common people's wish sphere's advancement surged, strengthening his magic power and increasing his cultivation base. His life heaven-mending techniques calculations became even more profound. After reaching the level of 100 million things at once, Gu Chinch's calculation abilities were greatly enhanced, and the speed at which he assimilated all of the knowledge he gained increased. Furthermore, The Wanxiang shattering cudgel hidden in his body received the power of the sphere's advancement. Much of the damage it had suffered since ancient times had been repaired, and it actually seemed to be fusing with his body. The Wanxiang shattering cudgel was actually formed from the god of strength's god laws. It wasn't just any ordinary material. When these god laws were gathered together, they had limitless destructive power. The god of strength, as the name implied, was a true wielder of power. The Wanxiang shattering cudgel contained the god of strength's comprehension of the god of strength law. If Gu Chansha used his heavenly Tao magic to fuse it with the Wanxiang shattering cudgel, he would be able to obtain the god of strength law. In that case, every punch and kick of his would possess immense power. Gu Chensh's battle prowess soared once more. As the creator of the medium-class realm, the benefits he received were far more than just this. As the medium-class realm gradually stabilized, he received even more of the world's favor. Gu Chansha felt that with his current battle prowess, if he were to use the Wanxiang shattering cudgel, he would be able to slay gods and kill god-level experts without needing to use the medium-class realm's abilities. Dharma Province, on the School of Legalism's Iron Mountain. Faung stood behind the Dharma's saint, a look of astonishment on his face. Lord Dharma's saint, what on earth is going on? Why are those juniors from the Celestial Tranquility Department able to transform that sphere into a medium-class realm? They're even faster than our School of Legalism. Our School of Legalism still needs a lot of resources to be able to transform it. As expected, they're impressive. The Dharma's saint narrowed his eyes. Gu Taxian's arrangements are indeed impressive. For those juniors to be able to do this has exceeded my expectations. I miscalculated. However, the Lei family has suffered the greatest losses this time. On the other hand, our School of Legalism has not suffered any losses. But, Faung said, the Dharma Elephant Realm is still in the royal court. Those juniors from the Celestial Tranquility Department are forcing our families to pay a fine. If we compromise on this matter, where will our family's dignity go? However, if we don't pay, those juniors will use the medium-class realm's power. I'm afraid our School of Legalism will not be able to stop them. Our School of Legalism has taken the lead to deal with them, so they will definitely target us to kill us. Then we'll discuss giving them something, the Dharma saint said. Lord, if that happens, won't our School of Legalism lose all our dignity? Faung still could not let it go. Lord Dharma's saint, your reputation is nothing. The most important thing right now is to turn all of our School of Legalism's Dharma realms into medium-class realms. Only then will we be able to contend against the Celestial Tranquility Department. Originally, with my cultivation and the School of Legalism's management, I might not be afraid of those juniors. However, with Gu Taxian's arrangements, there is nothing I can do. You must remember, reputation is the impression you have in the hearts of the people in the world. That is all. If you have the heart to destroy the world and create it, you will not care about reputation. If the people in the world hate me, that is because the world has original sin. I will blow the horn of Armageddon to destroy the world and cleanse it of sin. Then I will create a new world. If the newly born people love and revere me, then they will be sinless and will be happy. If they betray my gift, then they will be sinless and will need to be cleansed. This is the mentality of a saint. You must remember that saints are sinless. The reason why saints are saints is because they are sinless. The sinners are the living beings. When there is a conflict between the living beings and the saints, the sins of the living beings are already very heavy. The Dharma saint clasped his hands behind his back. Yuanji, you are the number one in our School of Legalism. It is a pity that you did not comprehend it and are still stuck at God level. You did not comprehend the Sacred Heart of Truth and became a saint because you cared too much about certain things. But Lord Dharma's saint, doesn't becoming a saint require aptitude? Without aptitude, it is basically impossible to cultivate to become a saint unless you become an outlier, Faung said. That was in the past. Indeed, from the primordial era until now, there has been an iron law. But now it is different. The heavenly Tao has changed, and even I have been revived. It is clear that some iron laws have been broken. It is just like how the imperial court has collapsed and the people have risen up. If it was a peaceful world with strict laws, then the heroes would not be able to rise up. I have already begun to comprehend the mysteries. If I teach you these mysteries, you might be able to make a breakthrough. The Dharma Saint looked into the distance, at the floating imperial court outside the pass. Gu Taxian borrowed the strength of a few juniors and actually defeated me once. This is only natural. But Gu Taxian, all of your strength is entangled with the true, peerless heavenly Tao. How much longer can you last? Your influence will become weaker and weaker, and eventually, it will be impossible for any supernatural phenomena to appear. At that time, will these juniors still be able to hold on? As he spoke, the Dharma Saint's body disappeared. In the imperial court, after a full hour, the power of the dimensional realm, formed by the sphere of common people's wish, finally dissipated. The entire sphere was hidden once more. Even God-level experts did not know where this sphere was hidden. A dimensional realm was a small wooden boat in the turbulent flow of space-time, and a dimensional realm was a steel warship. The ability to travel through the turbulent flow of space-time was not something a god could grasp. The patriarchs and old-timers of the aristocratic clans were trembling with fear. Even the most arrogant of them all, Xiao Donglai, was speechless. He had never expected that the tranquil immortal department's dimensional realm could be promoted to a dimensional realm. As an old ancestor of the Crimson Heaven Profound sect, he was constantly pouring in world energy to accumulate strength for the sect's dimensional realm. But because of this, he knew how difficult it was to promote it to a dimensional realm. The Crimson Heaven Profound sect's dimensional realm had been promoted 5,000 years ago. But according to its current scale, even if another 5,000 years passed, or even 10,000 years passed, it would still be difficult to become a dimensional realm. Chapter 591. The Crimson Firmament sect has committed treason by assassinating a prince and refusing to repent. Xiao Donglai has threatened the director of the Calming Immortal Department in an attempt to rebel. Capture him immediately. At this moment, these words rang in Xiao Donglai's ears. He instinctively leaped into the air, wanted to tear open space and escape. He knew that the Calming Immortal Department was definitely going to make a move on him. He had been too arrogant and overbearing just now. He had wanted to suppress the Calming Immortal Department in the court. He had thought that with the alliance of many aristocratic families, the Crimson Firmament sect would be able to take advantage of the situation. He had never expected that the Calming Immortal Department would actually turn a minor dimension into a medium class one. The fierceness of a dimensional realm was something that Xiao Donglai had longed for. So how could he not know? In his dreams, he had imagined countless times that he and the people of the Celestial Sect of Wonders would transform the minor thousand world into a minor thousand world, obtain the blessing of the world, break through to a higher realm in one fell swoop, and even increase his lifespan. That's right, the moment a minor dimension became a medium-class world, it could even distort part of the fundamental laws of space and time, allowing the creator to take advantage of this opportunity to extend their lifespan. In short, according to Xiao Donglai's understanding, a dimensional realm was absolutely impossible to contend with. Not even the entire Crimson Firmament sect could. Therefore, Xiao Donglai wanted to escape. He had to escape first. Unfortunately, he couldn't escape at all. Guchen Sha had already seen through any changes. He waved his hand and a dazzling rainbow light wrapped around Xiao Donglai's body, binding him tightly. Come! In an instant, the rainbow light sealed Xiao Donglai, forming many talismans on his body, restricting all of his movements. Back when Guchen Sha was still in a minor dimension, he had taken a martial emperor away from the bottom of the sea. Xiao Donglai's strength was far inferior to a martial emperor's. How could he be a match for a medium-class world? Naturally, he was sealed in an instant. Even the Crimson Firmament sect's minor dimension didn't dare to act rashly. Xiao Donglai, what do you have to say now? Gu Qinsha grabbed Xiao Donglai's body and brought him to the public square outside the court. There, he saw Thunder Origin and Thunder Blood kneeling on the ground. These two divine-level experts naturally saw the dimensional realm being upgraded. They were so shocked that they were still in a daze. Kneel! Gu Qinsha kicked Xiao Donglai's knee. At this time, Xiao Donglai had lost all his strength and was no different from a normal person. He knelt beside Extreme Lightning Source and Extreme Lightning Blood. Junior, I curse you to die a horrible death. The moment he knelt down, Xiao Donglai felt humiliated. He felt that he was finished. This was his real body. Although he had left an incarnation in the Crimson Firmament Profound Sect, what use was that? Just a moment ago, he had said that he would capture Gu Qinsha, abolish everything, and make him kneel in front of the Crimson Firmament Profound Sect. But now, he was kneeling here. Really? Looks like you won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Gu Qinsha's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He raised his hand, and the aura of an banishing immortal condensed in his palm. This was the banishing immortal palm. Logically speaking, the banishing immortal palm could only be used to destroy immortals. It had no effect on God rank experts. But Gu Qinsha had cultivated the heavenly Tao and absorbed the immortal slaying God flying dagger's blade chi. He had even formed a dimensional realm. Bang! Gu Qinsha's palm slammed into Xiao Donglai's head. Immediately, Xiao Donglai's real body lost all its power. The power of the world was extracted from his body, and he screamed like a pig being slaughtered. After a few dozen breaths, Gu Qinsha withdrew. Xiao Donglai's body had turned into real flesh and blood. It was no longer a divine body, formed by the power of the world. In other words, he was no longer a God-rank expert, but an ordinary person. A talisman appeared in Gu Qinsha's hand. This talisman was a microscopic world. Within this microscopic world, the red and green energies intertwined like the Taiji symbol. It contained all of Xiao Donglai's cultivation. Xiao Donglai's real body was here, which was 90% of his power. Although Gu Qinsha had formed a dimensional realm, he couldn't imitate the heavenly talisman Great Emperor and take out his incarnation. However, he had used the Heaven Witchcraft Curse killing technique with this strike. Many of Xiao Donglai's incarnations were affected, and they began to wither, decay, and gradually lose their power. Back then, Zhuge had used this technique to kill the chief of the ape clan. Even the undying body of 25 transformations could not withstand it. It was only the appearance of the yin-yang ghost ape that dispelled the curse. Unfortunately, the yin-yang ghost ape thought that it had dispelled the curse, and in the end, the curse erupted, allowing Zhuge to use Ape Huang's body to steal the human transformation diagram. This showed how powerful the Sky Witchcraft curse-killing technique was. But now, the curse that Gu Qinsha used was many times more powerful than it was in the past. Even if he hid in a small kiliacosm, he couldn't do anything because a dimensional realm could restrain a small kiliacosm. My cultivation, my incarnation. Xiao Donglai turned into an ordinary person, but he still knelt there. He could feel his incarnation withering. He was shocked. Originally, he thought that even if his real body was destroyed, his incarnation would still be there, and he could make a comeback. Even if it took thousands of years, he would take revenge. But now, his incarnation was also withering. His fate was even more miserable than the two deity experts of the Lei clan. The two deity experts of the Lei clan were only sealed, and they didn't lose their cultivation. Perhaps there would be a day when they could be freed. As long as the heavenly talisman Great Emperor removed the seal, they would still be full of vigor. And now, Xiao Donglai's power had been stolen by the exiled immortal. There was basically no possibility of him recovering. Xiao Donglai, you are courting death by becoming someone else's shield. But as long as you turn over a new leaf, our Calmness Immortal Division will give you a way out. You are now an ordinary person, but your vision and knowledge are still there. You still have about 10 years left to live. In these 10 years, if you sincerely repent and do a lot of good deeds, our calmness immortal division will extend your lifespan, allowing you to cultivate again. Gu Qinsha swung his arm. Xiao Donglai disappeared without a trace. Just like that, a deity expert of the Scarlet Firmament profound sect was sealed, kneeled down, crippled, and sent away. Gu Qinsha generally wouldn't kill people. Even the arrogant Jing Fanxing was crippled by Gu Qinsha. As for the martial emperors, Gu Qinsha didn't kill them all. Common people nourished the heavens. The key word was nourish. So, after doing all this, Gu Qinsha returned to the royal court. There were so many deity experts in the royal court, but none of them dared to act rashly. They weren't afraid of Gu Qinsha, but rather, they were afraid of a dimensional realm. No matter how strong Gu Qinsha was, his cultivation was still limited. A deity expert wouldn't fear such a low-level existence, but the power of a dimensional realm was simply too great. Many people knew that even a powerhouse at the 36 transformations, embodiment, wouldn't be able to create a dimensional realm. What does everyone think? Does the Celestial Calmness Bureau have the right to punish the aristocratic families? Liu Baiwe said, "The Scarlet Firmament Profound Sect is up to no good. We will naturally choose the right time to attack. I think that with the Scarlet Firmament Profound Sect's power, it won't be able to withstand the power of a dimensional realm. Everyone, think carefully. The court is facing a demonic disaster, and we don't want to kill. Otherwise, all of you will die here today. Pay to avoid disaster." The fourth, Gu Huasha, wasn't polite either. "Contact the sect and hand over the wealth for this punishment. Then you can leave. The court won't pursue this crime of disrespect. Celestial Calmness Bureau, don't go too far. The Black Heaven Earth sect also has a dimensional realm." Xianen couldn't help but say, "The Celestial Calmness Bureau has just become a dimensional realm. You don't have as many resources as the Black Heaven Earth sect. Do you want to fight to the death? Really? We are the creators of a dimensional realm. How much power can you use?" Gu Qinsha glanced at Xian, and the Black Heaven Earth sect does have some tricks, but I want to have a taste of them. The demonic disaster has broken out, and the Celestial Calmness Bureau doesn't care about the world. You actually want to start a war with the Black Heaven Earth sect? Shannon didn't dare to speak arrogantly. In the past, if someone said that they wanted to start a war with the Black Heaven Earth sect, many people would think that it was arrogant. But now, the Celestial Calmness Bureau had become a dimensional realm. Even a god-level expert didn't dare to speak recklessly. The Tai Fantasy sect supports the Celestial Calmness Bureau as the leader of the immortal Tao. The Black Heaven Earth sect has been number one for so many years. It's time for you to give up. At this moment, an old man appeared in the hall. This old man was Tai Xian, he was the headmaster of the Tai Fantasy sect, a sage. The Black Universe sect agrees. Another woman appeared in the hall. This woman was tall and ancient, and she had an imposing aura. "Chang Weiyang," Fanbai exclaimed. This woman was Chang Weiyang, the headmaster of the Black Universe sect, who had dominated for thousands of years. Originally, these two headmasters had been waiting to see what would happen. Even when the Celestial Calmness Bureau was attacked by the demon disaster, they didn't do anything. However, now that the Celestial Calmness Bureau had become a dimensional realm, they knew that this was their chance. Therefore, they immediately expressed their support for the Celestial Calmness Bureau. These two profound sects could compete with the Black Heaven Earth sect, especially the Black Universe sect. They knew the secrets of the Black Heaven Earth sect very well. In the past, Chang Yuqing had split from the Black Heaven Earth sect. He was a supreme elder of the Black Heaven Earth sect. Fanbai's face turned ugly. He had long known that the Tai Fantasy sect and the Black Universe sect had colluded with the Celestial Calmness Bureau to gain benefits. However, these two sects didn't dare to show their support openly. Now that they had shown their support, it was obvious that the Celestial Calmness Bureau had become a powerful force. With the support of these two profound sects, the Celestial Calmness Bureau's influence would be extraordinary. Chapter 592. Now that the Tai Profound Sect and the Universe Profound Sect had appeared, the result was completely different. Previously, the Department of Tranquility had been alone, but now it was fully fledged. The Tai Profound Sect ranked second in the Immortal Tao. Its founder had been Lord Tai. If Lord Tai hadn't been plotted against by the three Celestial Masters, the Tai Profound Sect would probably be number one. The Universe Profound Sect didn't even need to be mentioned. In the Immortal Tao, only these two sects could compete with the Profound Sect of Heaven and Earth. Once either of these two sects' minor chiliocosm ascended to a medium chiliocosm, they could truly contend with the Profound Sect of Heaven and Earth and share the limelight. However, this situation had been changed by the Department of Tranquility. From now on, almost everyone could predict that the second and third-rate profound sects of the Immortal Tao would submit to the Department of Tranquility. A behemoth would slowly rise. This court conference was the key. If Wudong Kong and the aristocratic families under the heavens gained the upper hand, the officials under the heavens would immediately lose their confidence. In an instant, they would fall apart. And if the Department of Tranquility gained the upper hand, the officials would unite and become more motivated. They wouldn't be so afraid of the demon disaster. The Universe Profound Sect, the Tai Profound Sect. Shannon was shocked. You dared to cooperate with the Department of Tranquility and go against the orders of the three Celestial Masters. The Profound Sect of Heaven and Earth has no guts. The three Celestial Masters have completely suppressed them. Actually, even with a medium-grade world, the three Celestial Masters wouldn't dare to fight to the death, Chong Wei-Yong said disdainfully. Junior, go back and tell Xianji Chong that he's been number one for too long. It's time for him to step down. Of course, you can't leave now. Xianji Chong must pay a ransom or a fine. That's right, everyone. Let me give you all a word of advice. A wise man is a wise man. It is best that you all pay the fine, otherwise the calming immortal department will not allow you to leave. As for the minor dimensions of your sex, even if you join together, you still won't be able to contend with a dimensional realm. According to all reasoning, 1,000 minor dimensions are equal to a single dimensional realm. Tai Xian pretended to be a good person again. Fine. We have to bow our heads when we're under someone else's roof, the Dharma image said. The school of legalism is willing to pay the fine. Even the Dharma saint knew that if he didn't bleed today, he might not be able to have a good ending. Very good. The Dharma saint is indeed a saint, going with the flow and adapting to circumstances. Gu Chunsha clapped his hands and said, "The calming immortal department isn't going to hurt you. How about this? Each aristocratic family will take out a primeval treasure of the same level as the Palace of Buzhou, and you'll be able to make up for your mistakes today. If you refuse to pay the tax, then don't blame the calming immortal department for keeping all of you here." As he spoke, Gu Chunsha played with the talisman in his hand. This was formed from all the world power and cultivation of Xiao Donglai, a god-level expert from the Crimson Firmament Profound Sect. This was a great deterrent. Even the aristocratic families would feel the pinch when this kid extorts them. A primeval treasure of the same level as the Palace of Buzhou is a treasure that belongs to sections. It's not something that ordinary god-level experts can refine, Tai Xian thought to himself. The Palace of Buzhou was something that the ancient son of heaven, Zhou, had spent 100 years to refine. It was used to suppress the spatial collapse of a demon domain. This treasure contained the Tao of heavenly cycle transformations, and it was a profound divine tool of a microscopic world. However, because of the passage of time, its world power had been used up, leaving only its original body. However, the materials and laws contained in this treasure had been purified over time. As long as it was refined again, it would be the best foundation for a microscopic world. If a god-level expert obtained this treasure, it would be much more convenient for them to build their own microscopic world. A god-level expert building their own microscopic world was equivalent to an ordinary person building their own house. Usually, after advancing to the god level, they would slowly condense a space and then slowly perfect it before finally turning it into a microscopic world. This was a very long process. For example, an ordinary person would first buy a piece of land, then buy materials, hire manpower, make plans, build a foundation, and so on. Obtaining an immemorial treasure like the Palace of Buzhou was equivalent to directly obtaining a sturdy mansion and a large courtyard. All he needed to do was to fix it up a little. Gu Chansha wanted to obtain a large number of primeval treasures to strengthen the foundation of the sphere after advancing to a medium-sized world. This was correct. He wanted to make the aristocratic families bleed, but he also didn't want to force them too much and cause them to be driven to desperate measures. Thus, this condition was just right. Tai Xian and Chang Weiyang jumped out at this time. Their goal was very obvious. They wanted to pick the peaches. They were both cunning people, not cowards. They didn't jump out at the beginning because it wasn't the right time. Now was the perfect time to strike a fierce blow and make the aristocratic families submit completely. They could then shift the hatred of the aristocratic families onto the calming Xian department, reaping benefits for themselves. But the calming Xian department needed the Tai mystical sect and the Cosmos mystical sect to stand out. It had to be said that as soon as the two great mystic gates stepped out, Gu Chansha felt his waist thicken and his courage grow. The calming Xian department was no longer a lone pillar of support. As expected, as soon as these words were spoken, pain appeared on the faces of the god-level masters of the aristocratic families. Some aristocratic families still wanted a bargain. But as soon as the Dharma elephant world waved his hand, there was a whistling sound as a long banner flew out from the distance. The banner was covered with dense scriptures. These scriptures were actually the words of the Buddhist sect. This Amitabha Sutra banner is an object of the ancient Buddhist sect. The Dharma elephant world only said a few words and then tossed the banner over, not saying anything more. This was an extremely shameful matter. He didn't want to stay here any longer. Kacha! He broke through the air and left. Gu Chansha didn't stop him. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to escape. Even the Dharma saint wouldn't be able to save him. The Dharma saint still hadn't fully recovered, so he couldn't resist a dimensional realm. Moreover, there were now two great powerhouses like Chang Weiyang and Tai Xian, as well as the mystic gates behind them. Wonderful! Gu Chansha took the Amitabha Sutra banner and thought to himself, I've seen this Amitabha Sutra banner in the school of legalism, but I didn't manage to obtain it. Now it's still in my hands. Back when Gu Chansha had infiltrated the school of legalism to steal treasures, the first thing he saw was this Amitabha Sutra banner. However, the situation had suddenly changed. He only managed to steal 6 treasures: the primordial chaos holy elixir, the law tree, the all-encompassing shattering rod, the minor thunderclap temple, the minor muni pagoda, and the 3-realm seal. This Amitabha Sutra banner was a true primordial treasure. It was refined by a powerhouse of the Buddhist sect through blood, sweat, and tears. Waving the long banner could accelerate the transformation of demons and protect one's body. Gu Chansha didn't plan to integrate these treasures into the dimensional realm. Instead, he planned to use them to build up the small divine prefecture. This was based on the consideration of maximizing benefits. Now that the sphere had advanced, even if he integrated the primordial treasure, it wouldn't be of much help. However, if the small divine prefecture had a primordial treasure to suppress it, it would be able to expand rapidly in the sea. It would be able to purify more marine life, allowing some of the stronger marine life, such as demons, to take human form and gain sentience. This way, the power of wishes generated would be much greater. Gu Chansha weighed the talisman in his hand. As a God realm expert, Xiao Donglai had condensed all his life essence and the power of his world into this talisman. It was enough to suppress the small divine prefecture's vital energy channels. Back then, the Hegemon Fist sect leader, Ba Jiufeng, had provoked Gu Chansha and had all his magic power extracted. He had fallen to the mortal world and was still working in the mortal world. That talisman had also become a treasure to suppress the array core. However, how could the talisman formed from Ba Jiufeng's essence compare to Xiao Donglai? After Guchun Shah got the people from the aristocratic families to hand over their treasures, he prepared to condense his azure biochemical dragon pagoda to suppress the small divine prefecture. The small divine prefecture would definitely usher in a huge leap. The power of wishes obtained from such a long period of operation would definitely be much more than the treasures that were integrated into the sphere. This was taking out treasures for development and investment, not saving them up like a miser. For ordinary people to obtain wealth, they needed to work hard. Immortal cultivators needed to work harder. Especially for God Realm experts, if one knew how to work and the other didn't, they would be left far behind in the past few years. The so-called work of a God Realm expert was to take care of the masses and obtain the power of faith from their hearts. Whoosh! At this time, F.A. Wuxian saw the Dharma elephant realm fly away. He wanted to fly away too. But how could Gu Qinsha let him go? Gu Qinsha sent out a ray of light and intercepted him out of thin air. Gu Qinsha, what are you trying to do? F.A. Wuxian was scurrying around in the air like a housefly, but he couldn't fly out. He kept shouting. The Amitabha Sutra banner just now was the Dharma elephant realm's fine, not yours. You have always despised the imperial court. Back then, you conspired against the imperial court and barged in my residence to cause trouble. I tolerated you, but today we are in the imperial court, and you are still shouting here. That is an unforgivable crime. However, on account of the Dharma Empress, I will let you off as long as you pay the penalty. Gu Qinsha was expressionless, as though he was conducting a trial. You have a primordial treasure, the blade of law enforcement, on you. It was refined by the Dharma saint back then. Take it out, and you can leave. However, the next time you commit a crime, I will not let you off easily. You, F.A. Wuxian was burning with rage, but he was also a sensible person. He knew that Gu Qinsha was ruthless, and the situation was already set. If he continued to cause trouble here today, even the Dharma saint might not be able to protect him. He flipped his palm, and the crescent moon-shaped blade of law enforcement flew over and was caught by Gu Qinsha. All right, you can scram now. Gu Qinsha waved his hand, and sure enough, F.A. Wuxian was sent tumbling in the air by the force. It was unknown where he landed, but then he disappeared. Fanbai, you're the #1 expert of the Fan family. You are only one step away from the Sage Realm, and besides the extreme thunder essence, you are the first to jump out. This is a great crime. What do you think I should do? Gu Qinsha aimed at Fanbai. This is a primordial treasure, the wintry pearl. Fanbai took out a pearl. It was filled with cold air, as though it contained a kingdom of ice and snow. This is a divine weapon refined by the ancient ice goddess. Back then, the ice goddess was conferred the title of true god, and she was in charge of managing the snow and ice in the divine prefecture. Chapter 593. Then what do you want? Fanbai saw Gu Qinsha's gaze and tone. Could it be that you want our Fan clan to hand over the bow of liberation and the constant and impermanence arrows? Since you've said so, then that's exactly what you mean. Gu Qinsha nodded. Of course, the Celestial Tranquility Department will also accept the wintry pearl. The Celestial Tranquility Department is too much. Fanbai felt a wave of depression rush up his body, and he almost vomited blood. Don't you know that it's better to leave a way out in the future? Fanbai, if you succeed in forcing me to abdicate in the imperial court, will you leave a way out? Liu Baiwei spoke in a mocking tone in front of all the officials. The Celestial Tranquility Department was going to show their might to the end, and they could use this chance to turn the shock of advancing to a medium-class realm into actual benefits. I don't know what it means to leave a way out in the future. Gu Qinsha was even more direct. I only know that if you don't remove the roots, it will grow again in the spring. If you don't kill a snake, it will hurt you. What's more, you were the first to jump out and flaunt your might in the imperial court with this bow, an arrow. You should know that this is the most sacred place of Yonko, where karmic luck resides. You brought a weapon and prepared to commit a crime. Won't you be punished with the weapon? Remember, this is the imperial court, not the common people. Everything must be done according to the rules. Your bow and arrow were confiscated by the imperial court, and the wintry pearl is the fine you have to pay to atone for your crimes. This is the Fan clan's cornerstone treasure. The Celestial Tranquility Department can't forget about taking it away. Fanbai looked at the many deity-level experts present. Everyone, the juniors from the Celestial Tranquility Department, have already forced us to this extent. Are we still going to endure? After this harvest, the Celestial Tranquility Department will become even stronger. When the time comes, will there still be a way for us aristocratic families to survive? Fanbai's words were impassioned, but it was a pity that Chong Weiyang and Tai Xian had strange smiles on their faces as they swept their gazes around. The legalists were the first to flee, and there was no longer any cohesion. The Wu clan, the Hong clan, the military clan, the deity-level experts of these clans did not speak. They seemed to be thinking of how to escape at the lowest cost. Is that so? Then you are gathering people to resist tax. Gu Chench's voice was extremely harsh. That's one more crime. I'm giving face to Fan Fei, and since your Fan clan is also a relative of the Emperor, I'll give you 3 breaths time to hand over 3 treasures, and you can leave. Otherwise, you won't have any treasures, and you'll die here. It's better not to kill the imperial family. Otherwise, Father will blame us when he comes out of seclusion. The 4th Gu Hua Sha said, we'll still use the banishing immortals technique to cripple Fan Bai's cultivation. Then, we'll throw him into a prison cart and lock him up in it. We'll parade him all over the country and arrange for a few hundred people to spread the news of his evil deeds. That'll be enough. That's right, 4th brother is right. Gu Chunsha nodded quickly. These little fellows are truly vicious. Their methods are truly amazing. Tai Xian and Chong Weiyang exchanged glances. Fanbai was a God Realm expert who dominated for 1,000 years. His cultivation was crippled, and he became immortal. Then, he was imprisoned in a prison carriage and spread the news everywhere. This is worse than death. You guys! When Fanbai saw Gu Chench's ferocious gaze, he knew that the Fan clan had fallen today. They had fallen so hard that they had lost a lot of blood. He thought about it for a breath, then let out a desolate laugh. He slowly placed the release bow, the constant and impermanence arrows, and the wintry pearl on the ground. How is it? Can I leave now? Scram. Gu Chensha rolled up his sleeves and swept the 3 treasures over. After inspecting them and confirming that there were no flaws, he let Fanbai leave. Seeing Gu Chansha collect the 3 treasures just like that, Tai Xian and Chong Weiyang felt a little moved. The wintry pearl was a treasure, an ancient divine weapon, a primordial treasure, and also a rare treasure. But compared to the release bow and the constant and impermanence arrows, it was far too inferior. This bow and arrow was rumored to be a connate spiritual treasure condensed from the primordial tree. The supreme Buddhist sect called themselves Buddha because they observed this bow and arrow. 1 man, 1 bow, and 2 arrows. A man had to bend his body and allow the 2 arrows to pierce through his body from top to bottom. Only after suffering all sorts of suffering could he become a Buddha. A Buddha was humble and respectful, suffering all sorts of suffering. This was the true meaning. Besides the concept contained within, the bow and arrow were extremely lethal. As long as they were activated, they could shoot down true divinities in the heavens. Unfortunately, it was impossible for Fanbai to use its full power. In this bow, an arrow couldn't deal with a dimensional realm. This treasure could break through a minor dimension and kill. No minor dimension could resist the piercing power of this treasure. But compared to a dimensional realm, there was still a gap. Only the immortal-slaying, God-slaying flying dagger could use its full power to cut through a dimensional realm. Unfortunately, even if the 3 Empyreans joined forces to display its full power, they would still suffer a backlash. Thus, the 3 Empyreans didn't dare to casually use it. Thus, a dimensional realm was basically invincible. The world created by the 3 Empyreans was also a dimensional realm. It was nearly impossible for it to evolve into a boundless world. This time, the Fan family has fallen. They can't even crawl back up. Many people sighed inwardly. Many officials were overjoyed because they knew that the calming immortal department had exploded once more. If so, then there would definitely be benefits for them. Big Sister Huan Sha, what we do now? This time, the calming immortal department has forced these families to obtain the Ba prayer banner, the blade of enforcement, the wintry pearl, the liberation bow, and the constant and impermanent arrows. If we don't do anything and all the benefits are taken by the calming immortal department, then I fear our heavenly craft department won't be able to suppress them in the future. Maha Sui Sui secretly said to Gu Huansha. When she spoke of these treasures, she was clearly a bit greedy, especially that liberation bow, the constant and impermanent arrows. If I can obtain them, then I won't even need to fear a God Realm Master. This treasure has already fallen into the hands of the calming immortal department. It's impossible for them to spit it out. Right now, the destiny of the calming immortal department is flourishing. We can only wait and see. We can't snatch the food from the tiger's mouth. Otherwise, if we get involved, we will be harmed. Gu Huansha was also a bit tempted, but after thinking about it carefully, she felt that it was inappropriate. She was also tempted by the treasures that Gu Chansha had forced these families to obtain. Not a single treasure was of the good kind. Even with the wealth of an immortal master, it was hard to have too many of them. Maha Sui Sui's eyes spun wildly. He still wanted to obtain some benefits from the calming immortal department. After pressuring the Fan family, Gu Chansha looked at the Wu family. Wu Pagong's face was ashen because he couldn't take out any primordial treasures. In the martial saint's paradise, all the treasures had been taken away by Gu Chansha. How could there be any primordial treasures? Wu Pagong himself was a God Realm Master, but even he couldn't refine any primordial treasures or primordial divine artifacts. What? Wu Pagong, you can't take out any to redeem yourself? Gu Chansha asked. Is your Wu family so poor? The Wu family originally had 4 primordial treasures. The first was the Myriad Immortals World Opening Flag. The second was the Black Tortoise Shell. The third was the Great Immortal Slaughtering Spear. And the fourth was the Xiantian Treasure Basin. These 4 treasures were extremely useful. The Myriad Immortals World Opening Flag was a treasure that could open up the chaotic flow of time. The Black Tortoise Shell was a treasure for calculation. The Xiantian Treasure Basin was a treasure for management. The Great Immortal Slaughtering Spear was a treasure for slaughter in the Devil Dao. All of them were obtained by Gu Chansha and integrated into the Tree of Hope. You can borrow treasures from the various families and repay them in the future, Lu Baiwa said. At this time, Wu Pagong looked at the people from the various families with a pleading gaze. Unfortunately, these people pretended not to see it. What a joke! How could they lend the primordial treasures to the Wu family? The Wu family couldn't even repay them now. Wu Dangkong, aren't you going to do something? Lu Baiwa asked. Wu Dangkong snorted coldly and didn't say anything. She knew that she had lost on all fronts, but as long as the Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor didn't demote her, she would have a chance to make a comeback. It seems like Wu Dangkong won't help you either. Gu Chansha said, Wu Pagong, what do you think we should do? Wu Pagong suddenly made up his mind. I'm willing to join the calming immortal department and make amends for my mistakes. I'll sever my relationship with the Wu family. I know that the subordinates that the Celestial Lord subdued are all named E. For example, the barbarian race pope of the Hell Serpent Temple changed his name to Yizheng. There's also the great Maha Temple's Yiming. I'm also willing to change my name to Yipokong. From now on, I'll follow the calming immortal department's lead. When these words came out, everyone looked at each other in dismay. Even the deity-level experts from the aristocratic families had their eyes wide open in disbelief. Was this really an ancestor of an aristocratic family? In the eyes of the imperial court officials, the disciples of the aristocratic families were all arrogant and unruly. Their eyes were higher than the heavens, and they looked down on everyone. Even if the imperial court was as powerful as it was now, the disciples of the aristocratic families wouldn't put it in their eyes. This was the prestige that had been cultivated for thousands of years. All the disciples of the aristocratic families and even the imperial court officials subconsciously believed that there was no such thing as an eternal dynasty, only an eternal aristocratic family. But now, an ancestor of an aristocratic family was actually bowing and begging for mercy. This had completely destroyed the dignity that had existed for thousands of years in the aristocratic families. Ha ha! Gu Qinsha laughed. Good, very good. Wu Pagong, you've forsaken the dark side for the light. This is truly a wise move. Since that's the case, we won't pursue the crimes you've committed. From now on, you'll be called Igong. Remove the word broken. I know that you're disheartened with the Wu clan now. The Wu clan has been torn apart, and they can't even take out the treasures to redeem you. Such an aristocratic family is so poor that there's really no point for you to stay. Why don't you join our calming immortal department? You'll definitely have great achievements in the future. However, you're still a criminal now. You have to make up for your mistakes. Go to the small divine province now. Jin Suebwa will tell you what to do. As he was speaking, Gu Qinsha patted Wu Pagong, who was now called Igong, a few times and planted a few curses in him. Chapter 594. The space was torn apart, and Wu Pagong was directly sent into the Lesser Divine Province. In the next moment, he fell into the Azure Dragon Pagoda at the center of the Lesser Divine Province. He saw Jin Suebwa, and, at the same time, he felt the curse in his body, as well as the power of the dimensional realm. He knew that he couldn't resist, otherwise, the curse would erupt, and the dimensional realm would immediately suppress him. His ending would be even more miserable than Xiaodong Lai's. Congratulations on forsaking darkness for the light. From now on, your future will be bright. Jin Suebwa had already received Gu Qinsha's message, but he didn't dare to be negligent. A God Realm sinner, no matter how he was arranged, it would take a lot of effort. Otherwise, this sinner wouldn't be disciplined, and it would lead to a great disaster. Having a God Realm expert in the Lesser Divine Province would bring great benefits, but if the arrangements weren't done well, the consequences would be dire. Wu Pagong didn't speak. At this time, Jin Suebwa knew that this person was still unconvinced and couldn't help but say, "You should know that the martial emperor has been suppressed and killed by our calming immortal bureau, and his divergent heart has been refined. That way, our calming immortal bureau will be promoted to a dimensional realm. Now, 1/3 of the Wu clan's territory is in our hands, and we can move at any time to absorb the martial saint's abode into our sphere. What do you think?" What? At this time, Wu Pagong woke up with a start and didn't dare to believe it. Jin Suebwa looked at him and said, "Of course it's true. Your Wu clan might be the first clan to be destroyed. Do you know why? It's because the Wu clan had a Wu Dangkong, and he absorbed all of your Wu clan's luck, which led to the successive tribulations. Today, you defected to us. It seems like a humiliation, but in fact, you've preserved the Wu clan's bloodline, and it can be said to be a blessing in disguise. Martial Saint, this disciple, is unfilial, and caused the Wu clan's foundation to be destroyed in a day. Is this fate?" Finally, Wu Pagong knelt down. "All right, as long as you are alive, there is still hope. In the future, our calming immortal department will still carry out public sacrifices. The martial sage has made great contributions to humanity, so we definitely have to offer sacrifices. However, private sacrifices can easily provoke a great calamity and fuel one's ambitions. If this continues, there will definitely be a great calamity." Jin Suebwa said, "You're still a sinner, so I can't talk too much with you. What you need to do now is to use your cultivation to refine the Azure Dragon Pagoda regardless of the cost. Refine the pagoda into a divine artifact to suppress the Lesser Divine Province." As he spoke, crackle, a few more items flew through the air. They were a talisman, the Amitabha Sutra banner, the Wintry Pearl, and the Blade of Law Enforcement. For these things, Gu Qinsha wanted Wu Pagong to waste his own world energy as a laborer and fuse them into the Azure Dragon Pagoda. Wu Pagong touched the talisman, and his body shivered. This talisman was formed by Xiao Donglai's cultivation. If he hadn't surrendered today, he would have suffered the same fate as Xiao Donglai. Under Jin Suebua's supervision, Wu Pagong didn't dare to have any other thoughts and obediently poured his world energy into the Azure Dragon Pagoda. He also started chanting the Great People's Salvation scripture that Jin Suebua had taught him. Gu Qinsha had changed the scripture again, making it even more profound. Wu Pagong had to cultivate this scripture, otherwise he would still be demoted by the banished immortals and become immortal. This was Gu Qinsha's order. Wu Pagong used this scripture to refine the Azure Dragon Pagoda, which was Gu Qinsha's Tao. Otherwise, if Wu Pagong used the Wu clan's secret technique to refine the pagoda would lose its effect and wouldn't be able to integrate with the minor divine prefecture. Everything that Gu Qinsha had done before would be in vain. Luckily, Wu Pagong was completely under his control. This person cultivated the Great People's Salvation scripture, and when he prayed, he could provide the world's wish sphere and the minor divine prefecture with a huge amount of wish power. As expected, when he was cultivating, a green and gold wish power soared into the sky. It was 100 times stronger than Wang Qingzhu's wish power, and it wasn't gold in quality, it was green gold. Green represented the heavens, and it represented the upper echelons. Only when one reached the deity realm, the wish power produced from their prayers would be green, visible to the naked eye. For other cultivators, even those who had comprehended the primordial chaos, the wish power produced from their prayers couldn't be seen by ordinary people. They had to use their mental power to observe it. Only then would they be able to see all sorts of beautiful colors. But the wish power produced from the deity realm's prayers could be seen. It was the same green as the sky. This was what it meant to be favored. The wish power of such a deity realm expert was extremely pure. Not only was it extremely beneficial to the world, it could also transform the mountains, rivers, veins, and all sorts of treasures. Immediately, the depths of the Azure Dragon Pagoda began to transform. First, Wu Pagong fused Xiao Donglai's talisman with the pagoda, and then borrowed the power of the talisman to fuse the Wintry Pearl and Amitabha Sutra banner into the Azure Dragon Pagoda. The entire Azure Dragon Pagoda suddenly released a huge amount of power, and it had the aura of a primordial treasure. Gu Qinsha wanted to create another minor chiliocosm here. The dimensional realm of the sphere was too big. It was basically impossible for it to be complete and become a major chiliocosm. Gu Qinsha didn't have such a thought. Even if he swallowed the 72 mystical gates, all the aristocratic families, and even the devil race, he might not be able to turn the dimensional realm into a major chiliocosm. The so-called major chiliocosm was vast and complete. Up to this point, Gu Qinsha had never heard of a cultivator condensing a major chiliocosm. The three heavenly lords were working hard. The unparalleled Buddhas and many other heavyweights of the Buddhist sects were working hard. Yet, they were all to no avail. The immortal Lord was working hard as well. Even the god Maha, the great spirit god, the sorcerer ancestor, etc., countless heavyweights were working hard as well. Yet, none of them were able to form a major chiliocosm. In the depths of the endless time and space, there were many major chiliocosms. However, these major chiliocosms were not something that could be created by the power of man. They were formed naturally during the chaotic era when the heavens were revolved and the primordial explosion occurred. Even though these major chiliocosms could not be compared to the endless mainland, they had nurtured countless powerful beings. Based on the memories of Gu Qinsha, Zhuge Ye and Chang Yuzhou had once traversed the chaotic flow of time and space and entered some of the ancient major chiliocosms. Within those major chiliocosms, they had met all sorts of cultivators. According to the ancient legends, the cultivators of the major chiliocosms had once come to the endless worlds as well. However, almost all of the major chiliocosms did not have a master. That was because the major chiliocosms were formed by the primordial explosion. Even the living beings that were born within them could not control the major chiliocosms. Furthermore, it was almost impossible for a single major kiliacosm to collect it. Even if it were a powerful being like Xing Qiongshi, if he were to discover a major kiliacosm in the depths of the chaotic flow of time and space, trying to refine, it would be nothing more than a fool's dream. It was just like an ant discovering an elephant and trying to move the elephant into its cave. Furthermore, the elephant would be alive. In the memories of Zhuge, he had once discovered a major kiliacosm when he was traversing the depths of the chaotic flow of time and space. He had wanted to try and absorb the source power of the major kiliacosm. However, he was injured by the will of the major kiliacosm and nearly died. That boundless might that blanketed the entire world was something that could even cause the death of 3 heavenly lords. With Gu Qinsh's current cultivation level, he could not comprehend these memories. However, that did not stop him from obtaining some data. He would take these primordial treasures that he had extorted from the old antiques of the aristocratic families and fuse them together to create another lesser kiliacosm and operate the lesser divine prefecture. This was Gu Qinsh's plan. Firstly, the lesser divine prefecture was a strategic location. If it was managed well, he could stop the invasion of the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor's Great Might dynasty from the sea. Secondly, he would create another lesser kiliacosm that could resonate with each other. This was much better than fusing it with a sphere. It was equivalent to using money to make an investment. Money begets money, and it would be profitable. Thirdly, the cultivators of the Lesser Divine Prefecture were originally second or third-rate mystic sects of the Immortal Tao. They were a mix of good and bad people. Gu Qinsha did not want to incorporate these people into the Calming Immortal Department, lest they spoil the purity of the department. The Calming Immortal Department still had to nurture its own talents. In the imperial court, after Gu Qinsha sent Wu Pegong away, he was very clear about the changes in the Lesser Divine Prefecture. Everything was under his control. As long as Wu Pegong cultivated his great people's universal purification scripture, he would be brainwashed sooner or later. Now that Wu Pegong had become a laborer to refine the Lesser Divine Prefecture's Azure Dragon Pagoda and fuse many primordial treasures into it, he was making the best use of them. With Wu Pegong's refinement, the Lesser Divine Prefecture would continue to expand on the sea. It would purify more living beings, and the Lesser Divine Prefecture would provide more power of will to the sphere. This was an extremely profitable business. However, Gu Qinsha did not refine the bow of liberation and the arrows of permanence and impermanence. This was because he could not refine these 2 treasures with his current strength. Even if he used the power of a medium-sized realm, it would be very troublesome. The gains did not make up for the losses. These 2 treasures contained supreme mysteries. Buddha used them to gain enlightenment on the supreme Buddhist Tao. One had to bow and kneel and endure the pain of 2 arrows piercing one's body. Gu Qinsha also wanted to obtain the things that the Buddha had comprehended from it. Moreover, these 2 treasures were extremely destructive. If he could truly gain enlightenment on them, even if they could not be compared to the immortal, slaying, God-slaying flying dagger, they would not be much weaker. Of course, this bow and arrow did not only have destructive power. It was rumored that it could penetrate one's heart and gain enlightenment. The Buddhist sect emphasized enlightenment. The Buddhist sect had 2 arrows. If it was shot out, it could penetrate one's heart and allow that person to gain enlightenment on the supreme principles of heaven and earth. This was the true power of this bow and arrow. From a certain point of view, this bow and arrow was not a killing weapon. It was an object of enlightenment. Its greatest power was not to kill its enemies, but to gain enlightenment. It could be said that it was an object that could save lives. Therefore, this bow was called the Bow of Liberation. However, the Fan clan used this bow for killing. They did not gain enlightenment on the bow's ability to free themselves. Gu Qinsha felt that with his heavenly Tao techniques, he might be able to unravel the secrets of this bow and arrow. Chapter 595. The Dharma image realm of the legalism school handed over their Dharma treasures. Fa Wuxian, Fanbai, and Wu Pagong submitted to the calming immortal department. However, there was still the Yin family, Wen family, Hong family, and the Jun family. Gu Qinsha would definitely not let them off. The four of you, pay your fines. Gu Qinsha opened his palm. Yin Feishi's face contorted, but he had no choice. He had already sent his will to the Yin family. After a dozen breaths, he took out a gourd. Within it, raging waves and turbulent geomancy could be vaguely seen. Not bad. This hurricane gourd is a treasure refined by the great sage sky rock of the demon race. Once it is released, a divine wind will surge and tear space apart. It has the power to destroy a continent. One of your Yin family ancestors befriended the great sage sky rock. This is a primordial treasure, an ancient divine artifact. You may leave. Gu Qinsha took the gourd and waved his hand. The Wen family took out a brush. The splendid bamboo brush that Sage Wen used to write his essays. This will do too. Gu Qinsha let Wen Qi-Dan leave as well. The Hong family took out a fist-sized cauldron. Black water seemed to be boiling within it. It was the 3,000-week water cauldron refined by the Black Emperor. Gu Qinsha inspected it again and let the Hong Ardent Pavilion leave as well. In the end, the Jun family took out a war saber. This war saber was sealed in a bronze scabbard. Once it was unsheathed, thousands of soldiers and horses appeared from within. 10,000 army saber. Not bad. This is also a Dharma treasure refined by a war saint. Gu Qinsha let Jun Wancho leave as well. Even Xian and obediently took out a fan. The fan was covered with carvings of mountains. It was the 100 Mountains fan, created by an ancient saint. Then, he looked at Gu Tanjian. Without saying a word, he waved his hand. Gu Tanjian's expression changed. A stream of air rushed out of his body. It was also a gourd. The gourd was filled with the qi of the holy dragon. My sacred dragon blessing. Gu Tanjian almost pounced forward, but he held back. His heart was bleeding. Gu Qinsha had been drooling over this sacred dragon blessing for a long time. Now, he finally seized the opportunity to force Gu Zingjian to obtain this gourd's sacred dragon blessing. Now that he had obtained the blessing of the holy dragon, it was perfect. Gu Qinsha's cultivation had improved and reached the realm of multitasking. If he deduced the blessing of the holy dragon again, he could obtain more secrets of the holy dragon mental cultivation method. With the help of Gu Qinsha's heavenly Tao magic and his minor chiliocosm, Gu Qinsha estimated that he could turn 7 people into innate sages. One had to know that now that Gu Qinsha had devoured the desolate Dragon Gate talisman and fused it with his body, he could transform into the desolate Dragon Gate and imitate some of its secrets. By using his heavenly Tao magic to nurture the sacred dragon blessing, he should be able to strengthen the sacred dragon blessing. If Lu Yu's group of 5, Long Zifei, and Lu Huayue all transformed into innate sages, how powerful would the calming immortal bureau be? Facing an unprecedented calamity, the gathering of these talents would definitely be able to protect the world and deal with the worst-case scenario. Hence, right now, Gu Qinsha was going to plunder at all costs. Done. After doing all this, Gu Qinsha didn't act against the Crown Prince and Wu Dankong. These two needed to be deposed by the Emperor himself. They weren't within his control. He knew that the Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor had a reason for appointing them. Iron Blood Marquis, go do your thing. No one will dare to obstruct you anymore. Liu Baiwei said, cooperate with the calming Immortal Bureau and seize the National Fortune Party, Hongyun Games, Sun Moon Bureau, and Clear Sky Trade Union. Yes, your subordinate will do it immediately. The Iron Blood Marquis cupped his fists. At this moment, Liu Baiwei represented the Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor. The Imperial Court is at peace. Gu Qinsha ignored the ugly expressions of Wu Dankong and the Crown Prince. Instead, he said to Gu Huansha, Royal Sister, do you think we can discuss our cooperation now? Your calming Immortal Bureau has shown your might in the Imperial Court today, obtaining so many treasures. This is worthy of celebration. However, The imperial court has offended all the aristocratic families in the world. The aristocratic families will definitely launch a counterattack. This will result in a devil calamity from the outside, a rebellion from within, and the invasion of the heavenly yellow dragon emperor at any time. Other than that, the mystic immortal Tao sect will definitely not let you off. The three heavenly venerables are about to return and cultivate their divine arts to perfection. When that time comes, your calming immortal bureau will inevitably fall and be divided. Maha Sui spoke, "If the calming immortal bureau can share some of the treasures with us, our Maha clan can join forces with you." Sorry, we're not familiar with the Maha clan. Moreover, the Maha clan is called the Eternal Devil clan. They're also a member of the demon race. Our calming immortal bureau will not believe you. Gu Qinsha directly refused. Instead, he said to Chong Weiyang and Tai Xian, "Our calming immortal bureau has already formed an alliance with the Tai Mystic sect and the Cosmos Mystic sect. The next step is to destroy the Crimson Sky Mystic sect and the Nine Swords Mystic sect." This time, two major figures from the Mystic Immortal Tao sect had come. Xiao Donglai of the Crimson Sky Mystic sect had already been captured and crippled. The talisman formed from his essence, Qi and spirit had already been integrated into the Azure Dragon Pagoda in the small divine province. The Nine Swords Mystic sect did not send a god-level expert. Only a figure with an undying body of 25 changes had come. He was still hiding among the guards behind Wu Dangkong. Even Gu Chansha did not ask for anything from him. This was because such a small figure could be killed casually. There was no need to speak to him. Now that the cultivator from the Nine Swords Mystic sect heard that the calming Immortal Bureau was going to join forces with the Cosmos Mystic sect and the Tai Mystic sect to destroy the Crimson Sky Mystic sect and the Nine Swords Mystic sect, he was so scared that he fell to the ground with a plop. Many officials turned to look at him. He picked himself up and knelt on the ground. This lowly one, Sword Voidness, does not know the might of the Imperial Court. I'm willing to join the calming Immortal Bureau. Take him away for training. Gu Qinsha waved his hand. Instantly, a marshal of the Imperial Court appeared out of thin air, grabbed Sword Voidness, and took him away. Many people's hair stood on end. Common People's commander was just too strong. After this little interlude, Gu Qinsha said to Gu Huansha, "This time we've confiscated the Sun and Moon Bureau, the Clear Skies Chamber of Commerce, the National Fortune Party, and the Hongyun Games. Put all of their assets into the National Treasury. It will definitely make up for the losses of the National Treasury. Our calming Immortal Bureau will provide a large amount of resources for the three-piece Human Dragon set. How about it?" "Sure, Maha Sui Sui and Maha Lin Feng will be in charge of this matter." Gu Huansha said, "The Maha family is human, but the demon race calls them the sovereign demon race. Actually, you know in your heart that the responsibility of the Maha family for generations is to suppress the demon race, to prevent them from wreaking havoc in the human world. This time, the Maha family will stand on the side of the human world. I will let Zhuge Ye come into contact with all of you." Gu Qinsha nodded his head. "The matter of the National Treasury is a small matter. Let's end the meeting here. Officials, go back and tell the people that there is no need to panic. At the same time, train the troops and mobilize the strength of the people to maintain order. The 99 states have the Marshal patrolling and our calming Immortal Bureau monitoring the world. The demon race won't be able to do anything. We obey King's orders." All the governors bowed and left. "The two of you, thank you for holding the line this time." Gu Qinsha said to Chong Weiyang and Tai Xian, "This isn't a place to talk. Why don't we head into our common people's wish ball to observe?" "That's good. Your ball has become a medium-grade world. We want to study it from within." Chong Weiyang nodded her head. Gu Qinsha tore open a tunnel in the air, and the three of them left the hall just like that. Lu Baiwei and the fourth would deal with the matters in the hall. It was better than doing it himself. So, the three of them entered the common people's wish ball. The entire ball had become a medium-grade world. This was completely different from a small-grade world. The inside of the world was extremely real. Countless celestial bodies rotated in different space-time. The ground beneath their feet grew endlessly, and the surrounding space was stacked in layers. Each space had a different world. There were mountains and rivers inside, and the atmosphere was completely different. A god-level expert's dust world could give birth to mountains, rivers, and all sorts of living beings. And 1,000 dust worlds were equivalent to a small-grade world. When they evolved into a small-grade world, they would form all sorts of spatial faults. Each fault was like a dust world that wriggled with each other. Large amounts of power would enter from the depths of space-time. If a dust world was a small shrimp in the space-time turbulence, then a small-grade world would be a giant shark. But compared to a medium-grade world, it was just a small thing. Gu Qinsha also felt that a medium-grade world was extremely vast. Even though he was the creator, he needed a long time to use his divine sense to scan through the entire medium-grade world. In the secular world, he was a super-rich person. He controlled many banks, farms, manors, and shops. Even his own wealth couldn't be looked at. Impressive. Chang Weiyang's divine sense swept over. After a long while, she clapped her hands. A medium-grade world is really mysterious. At this moment, I finally know how to transform it. I really can't imagine that a god-level expert like Jingxian Department could transform a small-grade world into a medium-grade world. Actually, it's because we absorbed Jiang Gongwang's world-burying coffin. Gu Qinsha said, then, with the help of the demon disaster, we can use the primeval Dragon Gate talisman as the conversion point. This is equivalent to dozens of races of the demon race, many demon gods and demon saints helping us to condense it. It is equivalent to us transplanting flowers onto trees, moving the stars to the extreme. Just like what someone said in ancient times, give me a fulcrum and a long enough lever, and I can move a mountain. It's indeed done to the extreme. Finally, the martial emperor's heart of deviant number played a key role in it. Tai Xuandu was also observing carefully. What about the Tai Pearl of our Tai fantasy sect? Did it also integrate into it? Chapter 596. What? You actually obtained all the memories and orthodoxy left by Heavenly Lord Tai? Tai Xian was overjoyed. With this orthodoxy, our Tai fantasy sect will be closer to the profound sect of heaven and earth. One day we will surpass them. That's inevitable. With the support of our calming immortal department, it won't be difficult for them to surpass the Black Heaven Earth Gate. This dimensional realm is far too vast, and the amount of energy they receive every day is 1,000 times that of a minor dimension. With so much world strength rushing about, just how many pills will be produced? Armor? Flying swords? Not to mention, I have already deduced the Dragon-Raising Heart Sutra and Dragon-Making Heart Sutra to perfection. Next, I will deduce the Holy Dragon Sutra. If I can deduce more, both Tai Fantasy Sect and Profound Sect of the Universe will definitely surpass the Profound Sect of Heaven and Earth. Gu Qinsha was also observing his own medium-class world. He was the creator of the world and had the authority of the world. If he used this authority, everything in the medium-class world would be displayed in his mind. Otherwise, with his 24 changes of Tao Realm, he would be lost in the medium-class world. He would be like a small fish in the ocean. He wouldn't be able to find his way at all. Even a god would have to explore a medium-class world for several years before they could figure out the scale of the world. A medium-class world was just too big. According to all reasoning, only an Empyrean-level cultivator that surpassed the 36 transformations and gathered many divinity-level masters together would have the chance to create their own dimensional realm. You deduced the Holy Dragon Sutra? The four of them strolled in the medium-class world and discussed what to do next. Tai Fantasy Sect and Profound Sect of the Universe knew that they would definitely obtain great benefits from the Department of Tranquility. They didn't make any requests because they knew that Gu Qinsha was a good person and would definitely handle it well. Just some bits and pieces. Gu Qinsha said, however, I have obtained a gourd of holy dragon chi, and I will continue to nurture it. With the help of the heavenly Tao, I will be able to deduce more. However, if you want to rely on this to become an innate saint, that is just wishful thinking. As they walked, the four of them came to the Tree of Desire. The Tree of Wishes was rapidly expanding. The moment the minor chiliocosm transformed into a medium-sized world, the Tree of Wishes became complete. The God of Wishes on it actually had the aura of a divergent. The Tree of Wishes had swallowed the heart of a divergent, so it naturally had the aura of a divergent. The Tree of Wishes has reached perfection. It's equivalent to 36 divine-level experts, and it's still growing. Chang Weiyang observed carefully. With her cultivation, she would soon be able to understand some of the secrets and benefit her own cultivation. The God of Wishes was now 10,000 kilometers tall, and the rainbow-like wings on its back were 30,000 kilometers long. They permeated into many parallel spaces, and with just a slight flap, they would bring about a space-time storm. The appearance of the God of Wishes was the same as Gu Chench's. "Hey!" Tai Xiandu slashed out with his palm. Immediately, with his palm as the center, lightning condensed in the air and shot outwards. This palm of Tai Xiandu's was called the Tai World-Breaking Thunder Palm. This palm suddenly exploded. With the cultivation of Tai Xiandu's saint, he could destroy the world of dust. Even if he was trapped in a dangerous place, he could use this palm to break the space and fly out. Unfortunately, when his palm came into contact with the crystal wall of this medium-sized world, the crystal wall wiggled slightly and absorbed the power of the palm completely. Too strong. Even if my Tai world-shattering God Thunder Palm was 10 times stronger, it still wouldn't be able to break through the barrier of this dimensional realm. In other words, if you keep us here, we'll be completely trapped. Tai Xiandu had personally tested the power of a medium-sized world. Trying to shake it was like an ant trying to shake a tree. He was overestimating himself. Even for celestial venerables, it is not easy to break out of a medium-sized world. If we are trapped, we can only wait for death. The outcome is to be slowly refined. If it was simple, why couldn't we cultivate it after so many years? Of the ancient 72 mysterious gates, only the Black Gate of Heaven and Earth has successfully cultivated it. Chang Weiyang also sent out a tearing light. She wanted to use her supreme cultivation to see if she could find a chance to break out. Unfortunately, no matter how she changed, the medium-sized world did not budge. Gu Chenshan knew that these two masters were actually trying to understand some of the secrets of a medium-sized world. After they returned, they hoped that their sects could also transform. His original intention was to give these two masters a chance to comprehend it. Even with Chang Weiyang and Tai Xiandu's nobility, they had no chance to observe a real medium-sized world. He waved his hand, and the God of Wishes spat out a bead. It fell into his hand. Inside the ancient chaos, a celestial venerables sat upright and kept talking about the ancient truth. Master Xuandu, the Tai bead has been completely activated by us. Sect leader Xuandu, the extreme unity pearl has been completely activated by us. All of Heavenly Lord Extreme Celestial's teachings are recorded inside. Now, I will give this pearl to you. Take it back and suppress it within Heavenly Palace of Extreme Celestial. Stimulate the power of this pearl. Heavenly Palace of Extreme Celestial's devouring power, defensive power, offensive power, and the power of creation within will double. If there's a chance encounter in the future, Heavenly Lord Extreme Celestial might be resurrected. When that happens, Heavenly Palace of Extreme Celestial will become a medium-sized world. Thank you very much. This time, our Tai mystical sect has made a huge profit. Tai Xiandu is really grateful. He was a saint-level master and had reached the 35th change of Tao realm, dust desolation. He could turn a dust land into a universe desolation with a flick of his finger. His realm was many times higher than Gu Chench's. If Gu Chansha didn't use the power of the medium-sized world, he wouldn't be able to match him at all. Even if he increased his realm by a few more realms, he still wouldn't be able to defeat him. But in his heart, he couldn't see through Gu Chench's intentions at all. He knew that as long as Gu Qinsha became a god-level master, even Chang Weiyang wouldn't be able to defeat him one-on-one. The power of the heavenly Tao wasn't something that could be comprehended by ordinary thinking. Of course, if Gu Qinsha became a god-level master, whether or not he could resist the call of the heavenly Tao was another matter. Tai Xian had to resist the call of the heavenly Tao all the time. If he wasn't careful, he might be destroyed and become one with the heavenly Tao. In the future, he could only rely on the power of sacrifices to make his spirit manifest for a while. Unending Headmaster, this is the fountain of youth that I promised you before. Zhuge took out a jar of spring water and said, "This is a supreme treasure that Jiang Gongwang collected. It's the sweet spring water that flows from the primordial tree. It will be of great help to you in breaking through to the celestial venerable realm. Moreover, this tree of wishes contains the secret techniques that we, the Tranquil Deity Department, have comprehended and combined from the memories of countless ancient saints. You can also take a look at them to your heart's content. You are really generous. You even let me see such a core secret like the Tree of Hope without any reservation." Chang Weiyang sighed. "It seems like you will definitely be kings in the future. You too can watch me calculate the Holy Dragon Mantra. If there are any flaws, please give me some pointers. You don't have any secrets about the Tai mystical sect and the universe profound sect." Gu Qinsha suddenly called out. The space split open and 7 people appeared. They were Lu Yu, Qian Zhen, Mo Chao, Zhou Bu, Jiao Liang, Long Zhaifei, and Lu Huayue. These 7 people were peerless geniuses. After cultivating dragon-raising mantra and dragon-making mantra for so many days, they had long stimulated a certain potential in their bodies. The dragon-raising qi and dragon-making qi intertwined with each other and transformed into a perfect Taiji Dao. Among the geniuses in Unending Immortal Department, these 7 people were most likely to be enlightened and become natural-born sages. The other people's accumulations were much weaker. Gu Qinsha could only take it one step at a time. Untainted land transformation, Dragon Gate appears. Gu Qinsha's body changed, and he suddenly turned into a huge, untainted land dragon gate. It was 30,000 meters tall. Then, he swallowed all the gourd of holy dragon qi that he had obtained from Gu Tianjian. Untainted land dragon gate transformation. Chang Weiyang and Tai Xian observed carefully. They communicated with each other. As expected, he swallowed the talisman left by the untainted land dragon gate and grasped some secrets of this untainted land supreme magic treasure. Using heavenly Tao method to change it, he can actually simulate some profundity. We can't do this. The holy dragon qi in the gourd kept circulating in the untainted land dragon gate that Gu Qinsha had turned into. It turned into a person with a human head and a dragon body. It looked like a person with the word Tao. It kept talking about the secrets of becoming a sage from a mortal. How could an ordinary person become a sage? Were sages born? In ancient times, sages were not born. People could become sages through cultivation. However, that era was even older than the untainted land. Chang Weiyang and Tai Xian listened to the holy dragon qi being injected into the heavenly Tao method. It actually stimulated the secrets of the Holy Dragon Heart Sutra. They couldn't help but remember it. They knew that this was the supreme secret between sages and the heavenly Tao. If they could obtain it, it would be very beneficial for them to resist the call of the heavenly Tao in predestined tribulations. Especially Chang Weiyang. Although she was an anomaly, because of this, she would be accompanied by a huge tribulation. There was a risk of dying at any time. Gu Qinsha calculated and brewed in this dimensional world. After 7 months, he suddenly shook. The untainted land dragon gate that he had turned into dispersed. The holy dragon qi split into 7 parts and entered the bodies of the 7 people. During these 7 months, the 7 people cultivated bitterly around Gu Qinsha. They increased their strength again. Now that they were stimulated by the 7 parts of the holy dragon qi, they suddenly changed. All of them broke through their bottlenecks. The aura of natural-born sages was as sacred as the sea and as vast as the sky. especially Lu Yu, Qian Zhen, Mo Chao, Zhou Bu, and Jiao Yang. When they leveled up, their bodies suddenly released 5 majestic auras. They were the thoughts of the 5 seasons deities. Oomph. Chang Weiyang snorted coldly. The 5 seasons deities plan is not bad. They actually want to devour the original spirits of these 5 people and replace them to revive. Do they not think that this is a dimensional world? Can they succeed? The old 5 seasons deities have already fallen. Even if it is your plan, they can still revive. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.